Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. This is Julien Masson from Adrenaline Combatives, and I'm with Mr. Richard Dimitri. How you doing, brother?
I'm great. How you doing?
I'm doing great. I'm doing great. We had a bit of technical
All right.
difficulties, but we managed it.
Yeah, always. My life is a technical difficulty, but
Listen,
yeah, it was just
I
out in
know
the end,
exactly.
though.
I know exactly what you're on about. It's like I'm the same. Every time I need to do something on the computer, it's like there is some sort of technological demon that's just laughing at us, like, ha ha ha
Yeah,
ha. You want to do that?
look at
Well,
ya.
no. Yeah, it's mad. It's mad. So,
Yeah, man.
tell you what, let's just jump into the heart of it. If you want to give us like a little brief resume of who you are, what you do, where you come from, and all that, and then we'll crack on with some questions.
Do you want to start at birth or my career?
Yeah, whatever. Yeah, the start with the whatever you want, bro.
Uh, let's just go to career real
Oh,
quick because
sure.
it's out there. I don't want to bore people. If somebody's tuning in, it's because they probably heard of me, and so they probably already know who I am. But in
Mm.
case you don't, started martial arts really early, age of 6. By the time I was 24 years old, I got something like 5 black belts and studied. Fuck, I don't remember anymore. 15, 16 different combative disciplines, including boxing, wrestling, kickboxing, anything I can get a hold of. ADHD and trauma, I hyperfixated in the martial arts and self-defense. My dad took me to see Bruce Lee in 1973, 4 at the drive-in. Enter the Dragon had come out, and we went to see it. And the next morning, he enrolled me in karate, and I haven't stopped since. So, being a huge fan of Bruce Lee, wanted to create my own martial arts system. Back in the early 90s, there was only a handful of people in the world doing it. Today, everybody and their fucking grandmother are doing it. But back then, there's only really a handful of people. People were still doing very specific arts and systems, from traditional to non-traditional, be it combative or traditional or sport or whatever. And there are a
Yeah,
handful of the guys back then doing the street stuff. Mark McYoung, Peyton Quinn, Sammy Franco, Tony Blauer, Jeff Thompson. Uh, back then it was those guys, and they were still kind of underground with this stuff, kind of propping
yeah,
up. And I was a huge fan. Researched all of their shit. Like I said, deep dove into the stuff. And in '94, I created my own martial arts system called Senshido, non-traditional, very combative oriented, but with a
yeah,
lot of psychology and a lot of sport, because I had the ability to do both. I had a school. You have a school, you can do everything you want. You got members who come in.
yeah.
Quick lessons. They can do quick lessons. If they want to sign up for a year, they can sign up for a year. So I did it all at the school. Eventually became international. Started traveling the world, hit the magazines, interviews, and all that. And I had to make a decision. The fuck do I do? Do I stay local and keep running the school? The school is doing
Yeah.
really fucking well, or do I go travel the world? I can't do both. I didn't have a staff to do both, so I decided, fuck it, sell the school. We went international. I did. Been to 22 countries teaching this stuff so far. Evolved immensely between then and now in terms of what I'm teaching, based on
Yeah.
everything, not just that I saw. And I was exposed to people from every walk of life in 22 different countries. And I can't
Yeah,
tell you the amount of cities and towns in those countries combined. And so and with the research, and there's an evolutionary process to violence. And here I am today, sitting in front of you.
okay.
Nutshell.
Good. Yeah. Good little
Yeah.
nutshell.
Yeah, quick
Well,
little snapshot. Yeah, if you're interested in more, you can Google it or fucking send me
yeah.
a message. It'll take me months to reply to.
I tell you what.
Yeah.
I mean, I definitely fell onto a couple of your videos as I was growing up, because obviously, as you can imagine, I'm 30. I'm going to be 36 next month. So my
You
time
made me
when I
feel
was
a little
around,
bit
like,
old.
sorry.
You just made me feel a little bit old.
Well,
I
tell you
am a
what.
bit. Yeah, you can't fight it. But hey,
No,
yeah, okay, sorry, go
no.
on.
Well, no, but basically what it was is that, around that time when I was, young adolescent. I was getting into my adolescence. That's when YouTube just exploded, and YouTube was a massive part of my education when it comes to martial arts and people out there teaching their stuff. I was looking. That's what I was doing pretty much anytime I had some time to myself. That's what I was doing. I was on YouTube looking for new people. Obviously, like very influenced by Bruce Lee. In fact, that's the story that my mom tells everyone, that I went from crawling to running. There was no in between. There was no crawling, walking, running. I just stood up and started running one day, and that was it. And so, my mom could hear me everywhere I was going. She could hear the step, like tack 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 tack. And so she knew where I was all the time, and she was working from home because we were working. Fucking hell, there's a bit of echo here. So she was basically working at college. She was answering the phone to the parents and putting them in contact with the teachers, opening the gates in the morning. So we were living on site inside the school. Yeah. So I was basically there where she was working, but she could hear me all day long if I wasn't at school. And one day she couldn't hear me anymore, and she got spooked. So she had to come and see what I was doing. And guess what I was? I was in front of the TV watching at Bruce Lee swinging his nunchucks. That's it. That was the first time she couldn't hear me anymore because I was glued in front of the TV. So that was the same thing. And from that day, every time we were going for shopping, I was doing spinning high kicks in the shops. And yeah, that was just me. So same thing.
Yeah.
But Bruce Lee was so influential and so ahead of his time. I mean, I think he influenced.
Oh yeah, I mean, still till today, there's
Still today, yeah.
denying his effect on what we do, it would be insane. I wouldn't be doing what I'm doing if it wasn't for him.
Yeah, and he knew something. And I know you're not too much into the esoteric aspect of things, but Bruce Lee was very much, and I mean, already back then he was, he was ahead of his time, even when it comes to the esoteric philosophy. And if you've looked at that interview with Pierre Burton, where he's basically putting some esoteric knowledge out there, and they're trying to shut him up. They're like, no, they're trying to change the subject. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because that knowledge.
Hey, when you're talking on, sorry to interrupt you, but when you're talking on my end, there's a lot of static.
Static, yeah.
Static.
Okay.
Every time you're talking, there's static throughout.
That's a bit weird. Is it still now?
Yep. Hold on 1 second. I can't hear it when I talk, but I hear it when you talk.
That's weird. What do you want to do?
Do you hear anything on your side?
I can hear my echo of my voice a little bit sometimes.
I just noticed people are listening or watching. It's live, you said, right? So if anybody,
it's live.
Rome's in the house. I don't know if Rome's still in the house, but if anybody is in the house, maybe can you guys hear us? Okay, does the sound all right?
Should be.
Somebody
one
type.
Somebody
sound good,
type.
sound bad.
Somebody
Thumbs
let
up,
us
thumbs
know
down.
if the sound is okay. 1 sec. I'm gonna see if anyone is answering those questions. Rum in the house. Frank Gastiglione. Did I pronunciate?
Yeah. Okay. Good. Can you hear us fine? Is there any static or echo? Thank you for replying.
I hear you. Yeah.
Sounds good. Okay.
Thank
Fucking
you.
ace. All right. Let's keep it.
Okay,
Rock on.
great.
Sorry, on my end. There's
Well, no, yeah.
static.
I mean,
I apologize to interrupt the flow.
all that to say, yeah. I have been seeing your videos already. You've been one of the first people I've been watching. I mean, I've been watching a lot of martial arts stuff, and but I remember Lee Morrison, Richard Dimitri, Tony Blauer. Yeah, it was the name that were coming up in what I was watching, and it's a thing. I always say, and I said it to you, and I said it to you before, and I'll say it again. The stuff really is that I'm looking at your videos, and I'm like, dude, this guy doesn't breathe. This guy doesn't breathe. He just talks. He's just talking about his craft, and he's got no time to breathe. You must be breathing that apnea, bro.
It's I don't honestly, I can't even remember what I said after I said it. It's like a switch comes on, and like our master classes are 8 hours a day.
Yeah.
And the first one, The first one, there were no breaks. So people could take a 2-3 minute break, 5 minute break on their own if they want to go out for a smoke or go to the bathroom or come back. But lunch breaks and 15-minute breaks, other than go to the bathroom, have a smoke, were done during the class through still talking and communicating because I had so
Yeah.
much information. And people were astounded. Like, how the fuck do you talk for 8 hours a day straight, nonstop? It's like, and
Yeah.
we have to stop. You got to stop me from talking. Like Pam has to nudge me and go, okay, we need to take a break. And so participants, of course, through suggestions, trial and error, suggested, let us out. Give us more of a break sitting there. It's information overload. And it is.
Span of people, yeah.
Yeah. But I think, I think you're the same way. That's a neurodivergent trait. That's like that's ADHD. I hyperfixated. I'm extremely passionate.
Yeah, that's the passion is one one big
So
thing.
it comes up that way. I mean, I live in, so does Pam. We live and breathe this stuff. Even when we're not working, we're watching documentaries, TV series, criminal books, blah, 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 blah. And we're not just watching for entertainment like the average person. Anytime tidbits of information pop up, we press pause. We cross-reference with fucking international databases and for information. Then we cross-reference with the hundreds of thousands of students that we fucking taught and took notes on. Especially, that was the most amazing laboratory we had were the kids working with Safe International. Got to see 25 to 30 kids per class, 4 or 5 classes per week each. So that's an average of about, between my wife and I, an average of about 200, 250 teens, different teens a week, every week for 9 months across 2 provinces, and working with an average of about 40 schools between her and I. And we got to observe and listen to all of their stories, and all of their everything was noted. So we cross-referenced all of the stuff with what we watch, and then we list, and then that goes into our information database. And so it's a continuous process, and it's, as much as it's entertainment for us, which is why we do it, we also, it's very analytical. Like I can't. It's an entire process again. But that's because I'm neurodivergent, so I have that, that part of the gift, asking you to remember to fucking reply to your message in 4 months. But, or Pam's gone. I have the same load of laundry in my washer. It's been 4 days. I keep rewashing it. I fucking forget to put it in the dryer. But, ask me statistically how many men die in social violence situations worldwide. I could tell you that.
Yeah. Go on then.
See? Any other questions? Or I can keep going, let's I don't want to bore people.
No, bro, listen, I know exactly what it is. It's like it was the same at me when I was at school, when I was a kid. If I'm interested in it, I will learn it faster than most people, because my IQ level is fucking higher than the norm. But if I'm not interested, I will not fucking learn it. It doesn't matter how you try and fucking hell, mate. Try and shove
I'm
this.
not a foot fetishist. That would have done something.
Eh?
I said, you're lucky I'm not a foot fetishist. That would have triggered me.
Yeah, man.
Sorry.
It was just,
no, I get it. It's fixation, man. That's the good with the bad. I started on ADHD medication yesterday.
Oh shit!
First time.
Do you know what?
First time I go out.
I'd stay well away from that shit. I mean, when I was growing up, I've been to some institutions and stuff like that because of my ADHD, and I've been put on Ritalin, and I've been put on all sorts of things. And to be honest with you, I'd stay well clear of that shit if I was you, man.
Yeah. I just it fucked me up. I couldn't sleep.
It would mess
like
with
it didn't do anything for my ADHD. All it did was make me more agitated and restless. So did not enjoy it.
I don't think. Do you know what? We just live in a society where they say that ADHD is a bad thing. It's just because you can't fall into the
anymore.
fucking mold of the society. Do you know what I mean? And so they say,
I
"Oh,
don't know about where you are, but here in Canada, they've progressed dramatically from that. They're really attentive to the kids in schools who have it.
that's
They're
good.
yeah, like we teach in schools here, Pam and I, and they're really good with the neurodivergent kids.
That's
I
very
mean,
good."
the schools we've worked at anyway, we're fucking spot
Yeah.
on. I was like, wow, I wish it was like that when I was growing up. It would have made a
That
world of
wasn't
difference
like
in
that
my education.
when I was at school. I was the problem kid. I was the black sheep
Yeah, no,
because
same here. But you know, we're going back now. This is like, I
mm,
mean, there's a wealth of information that is now being accessible to the general public that
mm,
previously wasn't,
yeah,
which is
yeah,
phenomenal. Like
mm,
especially on neurodivergency and mental health, trauma, all that stuff. It's not that it didn't exist before, it did, but it just wasn't making it mainstream. You know, back in the days, and you know, only crazy people saw psychotherapists. They were shrinks. They
yeah,
would shrink your brain. That whole fucking stigma is pure insanity. Um,
mm,
but we've made leaps and bounds from then. I mean, I'm not saying it's perfect, and it never will be, but I definitely see a worldwide improvement here, Australia, certain parts of Europe, in terms
okay.
of understanding neurodivergency and mental health issues. Is you know, I think the internet, pros and cons. Some of the pros are this: it's really bringing things that are important to light with the general population.
It's, it's good that at least now they're trying to adapt to those cases rather than try to make those cases adapt to their educational system, which was the problem at
Yeah,
first. Oh, you're not how do you call it? You're not confining yourself to you're not adapting to the to the program. And if you don't adapt to the
yeah,
program, then you're a trouble kid. You're a problem kid, and you need to be put with the problem kids, innit?
yeah, that still happens.
Yeah. Anyway, it is what it is. At
I
least
can't fix
it's
that.
good. It's good that these cases are getting more help now. That's
Yeah, and look, just talking about it like we are right now brings
mm,
light to it. And this interview's, you know, who knows how many people are going to watch it? Six, five, right? And out of those 8 to 10 people who watch it, they'll talk to another 3 to 4. You know, look, it's how it works. But you
mm.
and I sure aren't going to fix the problem. But
Well,
we can be part of, you know, bringing
part of the
awareness.
solution. Yeah, exactly. And giving awareness to people about certain things is a big strength, and that's how we're part of the solution by letting people know, oh, such a thing does exist. You know, I mean, you've definitely opened my eyes on a lot of stuff, even recently. You know what I mean, like about what's happening in the world and stuff
We've
that
bumped
every
heads for
single
years, man.
eh?
We've bumped heads for years.
I know, I know, I know. And
Yeah.
it's like fucking hell, man. It's like everyone is experiencing things like that without really being aware of, because we live in a world where that shit has been normalized, and people don't even think that they think, oh, that's just the way that it is. That's it. That's just the way that it is, and I'm gonna put up with
Well,
it because that's just the way that it is.
whatever any human being is born into and is exposed to through their childhood and their familial upbringing, and what I mean by familial, be it they're a street kid, be they at foster or from a loving family, it doesn't matter. Whatever your upbringing is, that's your for you. That's your norm. That's your
Yeah,
norm. That's your baseline. That's the baseline for your norm. And when people sometimes step out and they see other people's baselines, it becomes confusing. It's like, well,
yeah.
I'm here, you're there. And everybody has that different baseline based on their experiences
Experience.
growing up.
Do you
So
know it's like
yeah,
it's
go
like
ahead.
they say the first 7 years of your life is really what's going to truly mold your character and personality and then it's layers. It's like kind of layers upon layers upon layers through the
Yeah,
years with your
I think we've
experience.
made development past that whole first 5 to 7 years because there's a, you know, for starters, the child's brain doesn't stop developing, literally physically developing until the early 20s.
Yeah.
So if the brain is still developing and it hasn't gotten to certain areas yet, our characters can't be fully built by 7 if certain parts of our brain haven't fulfilled by the time we're 14 or 15. Not to
Yeah,
mention
not
if all of a
full,
sudden
not full.
you're 13 and a wicked traumatic experience occurs, that's going to fucking shift completely who you are down to the core root of your cells and your being. So that whole who you are in the first 5 years, I think we've debunked that a little bit. There's a lot more that goes on, but you get
Okay.
your general idea in the
Yeah.
first 5 years in terms of what kind of, will the person have a sense of humor? Will they little things, but not from a core character perspective. Hell, people
Mm.
have made changes in their mid 30s,
Okay.
early 40s when they come to realize that fuck. I know certain people who have taken our courses, who after taking our courses made the realization through our course that they were borderline narcissistic personality disorder, and then they
Mm.
didn't want to be that. They went, fuck, I don't want to be that person, which states that they're not fully narcissistic because first of all, there's the acknowledgement. Second of all, there's the fact that they don't want that. Third of all,
Yeah.
is they went out and sought fucking help, professional
Mm.
therapeutic help, right? And they've made leaps and bounds in their character. They're a changed person in terms of selfishness and self-awareness and a whole bunch of other stuff. And they bleed much less now on the people around them. Because a lot
Yeah.
of people who are hurt and who suffer from whatever their traumas are,
Mm.
willingly or unwillingly, most of the time, more than 70 to 75% of the time, it's unwillingly, they bleed on the people they love.
Do you know
Road
what?
rage, home rage, these are
Yeah.
specific incidences we always use, but they're the most common ones. And not only are they so common, there's not a single person that we've taught that either A, didn't experience it themselves, or B, been in a car with somebody and experienced it through them, or both for that matter. They have it and been in the car. And a vast majority fall under the category of both. It's crazy.
Yeah.
What you're not realizing is you're bleeding on the people in the car. Years and
Mm.
years and years and years of sitting in
Yeah.
a fucking car, starting at birth until you're the age of 18, 19 years old, and you leave the house, of living with a parent or both who have road rage, that causes anxiety disorder, right?
Yeah.
That eats away at a person's character. That creates a constant release of adrenal stress every time somebody in the family says, let's go for a ride, or we're driving down to Florida this weekend, or fucking, I hope mom and dad or mom or whatever, right? You're living that every day for
Mm.
a decade plus, right? And then what do? You marry into it. You have your girlfriend who does it, your boyfriend, your blah, 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 and then right? And so you're constantly exposed to this
Yeah.
fucking misdirected anger, which is completely illogical because at the end of the day, nobody hears you except the people in the
Yeah.
car. And those that do hear you, in the history of road rage, I don't think it's ever happened. Nobody ever fucking went and turned around after somebody looked at them and go, hey, you fucking asshole, learn how to fucking drive, you piece of shit. You just cut me off. Oh shit, yeah, you're right. I'm so sorry. I think I'm gonna redo my lessons. It's been 12 years. I'm a fuck up. Thank you for pointing it out. Bye. And they take off. No, the general response is gonna be fuck you. You go fuck you, right? And now you're in a fucking road rage situation. And now next
Mm.
thing you know, you're on fucking YouTube or Facebook or Instagram getting into a stupid fucking fight in the middle of the street. How many of those do we fucking see? People
Oh
punching
yeah,
people,
yeah, a lot, a
screaming.
lot.
Fucking, it's insane. And none of it is personal. And none of that is predatorial. Not
Mm.
one of those fucking
Social
instances
violence.
is it predatorial. What is that? Nobody left the house that day going, if somebody does that, I'm gonna fucking lose my shit and punch their window out or shoot them or stomp their fucking head. If they did, then it's predatorial. But the 99% of them, it's not. That's
Is it?
social violence at work.
Is it only predatory? I mean, what you just said something, and I mean, I've obviously I've not experienced that in years and years now. But when I was younger and I was getting bullied a lot, and I had some serious anger issues, and sometimes I'd go even in my beginning of adulthood, and I was working on building sites, and I had a bad day. I had bad shit happening in my life, and I was living my home saying, if somebody fucking starts it with me today, they're fucking getting it. Do you know what I mean? I have been thinking like that before. or
That's
or
not that's not that's survival, not predatorial.
yeah, it's not because I wouldn't think I'm, I wasn't, I never went out to hurt people. I'm not like that. I don't think it's in my, I could hurt if I had no other choice. Do you know what I mean? I've trained myself to do that, but I'm not the type of person that could just go out and hurt people, like, out of a, all right, I'm going to go out and hurt people today.
There
That
was
is, there's a
there was a
problem.
subconscious or maybe even conscious part of
Mm,
you that when you did go out, you
yeah.
hoped somebody would.
I'm pretty sure there was. And let's speak about something, Rich. And I know it's a mad subject, okay? And I mean, I'm being vulnerable, okay? I'm just putting myself on the open out there on that, okay? But I when I started to read your work on, what you have to say about the different personality disorders, so the narcissistic personality disorder, the sociopathic personality disorder, and the psychopathic personality disorder, I realized, because that there is one part. Okay, I had my spiritual awakening at 2012, and I realized that I'm this extremely loving empath person, and I know I am because I can feel it. I am. Do you know what I mean? I love people. I love to help people, and I hate people to see people hurt. But
It's the only reason you just said is the only reason I stuck around with you for so long and I kept butting heads with you.
yeah, yes, but
Because anybody else, most people, like 95% of people that the type of butting heads we did,
mm,
going back 3, 4 years if you want,
yeah.
normally I just cut these people out. Fuck it, I'm done.
But do you
But
know?
the
Do you
only
know
reason
one?
I didn't with you is because I've always felt your empathy. I
Mm.
always felt
Well,
your heart.
I have it. It's there. There's
You have
no
a good
doubt
heart,
about it.
Julian.
You know
Yeah.
what? If there is one thing that I can teach to, there's a lot of really, really good, really good instructors in this field, our field. But I think that I got enough.
Disagree, but okay.
I have enough
I'll
empathy.
tell you what there is. There's a lot of talented
Yeah.
martial artists
Mm,
and fighters and
yeah.
sport fighters, but not a lot of good instructors.
Yeah. I know
Big
what you said.
difference.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah.
So
Like we're going in all the fucking direction, and I want to go in that direction too. But that there's one thing I wanted to
good
say.
luck
So
with both our ADHD. We're going fucking nowhere, but all right.
right. So do you know what? So when I was a kid, when I was
See?
getting bullied and I was suffering so much from this being alienated from the group, I was just
Yeah.
always trying to go to the group and say a certain type of group. Do you know what I mean? I would choose the group that I'd feel like, oh, I want to be part of that group, and I go and try and be part of that group, and I'd be rejected. I've been spat on. I've been pissed on, bro. I've been everything you can fucking think of, bro. When I was a kid, so imagine,
I feel yeah.
what that feels. And
Yeah.
when I said, okay, I'm an empath, but I know that I have some psychopathic traits as well. And, some stuff I will tell you, I'm not going to say it like that, but I will tell you one day some stuff that I did as a kid that I really fucking regret, that I should have never done, but that I did out of
Same
unconscious.
here.
Well,
There isn't a human being on earth that doesn't have that. And if they say they don't, they're fucking lying or they are pressed that it's suppressed.
well,
But we all have our regrets. You were a kid. You can't
mm,
like I mean, you could do whatever the fuck you want, but
yeah.
holding on to guilt as the adult
I
you are today over something you did when your brain was fucking malleable and not formed getting in survival
would,
mode is counterproductive to your growth, if that makes
of
any
course.
sense to you.
That's why I
Yeah,
left.
you
That's
can
why
come on with that.
I left
Yeah,
the
you don't
guilt.
need that shit.
I left the guilt. I forgave myself, and I've asked for the universe for forgiveness to the universe, and I was doing my work with the plant medicine and stuff, talking to myself, and I'm asking to the universe, "Do you forgive me?" And the universe asked me, "Do you forgive yourself?" And that was the main thing. Do you know what I mean? I did forgive myself for stuff that I'd done, like when I was a kid, but I still have, yeah, I can see it. I still have that part of me that is that wants to fucking see blood and fucking. Do you know what I mean? I have a part like this in my mind. It's not predominant. It's not who I identify with all the time, but it's there. Do you know what I mean?
So
It's
you're on
there.
your way. Because I went through the same process of that to the portion where it was still there, but it wasn't predominant. And now it's fucking the last. It's the last thing on my mind. It's like not even like a fucking.
Well, it's not. I wouldn't say that it's on my mind. I wouldn't say that it's on my mind, but I know it's there somewhere because I've
Yeah, so that's
experienced it when I was
okay.
younger.
That's a remaining piece, whatever it is, that you haven't yet either A, forgiven yourself for, or made peace with, or forgiven somebody else for doing wronging. There's that you still have a piece that you haven't dealt with. That's the only
Yeah.
reason you still have that. It's still there. You're
Mm.
gonna the day you wake up in the morning and you're taking that morning shit, scrolling your phone, and it's not there because you feel it first thing in the morning
Mm.
when you get up, whatever it is. It doesn't matter what it is or how it manifests, be it
Mm.
depression, anxiety, guilt, shame,
Fucking
fear,
anxiety.
whatever. We wake
Yeah.
up and it's fucking there until you've dealt or one, and we know when we wake up and it's not there. So,
Mm.
so but it doesn't happen by miracle. All of that takes work. So there's
Oh,
still
it
more
does.
work to be done at the end of the
It
day.
does.
All that to say.
I mean, for me, like
Thank you,
a lot of the
Alan.
work I did. Sorry.
People are writing. It's ADHD. Somebody's leaving the chat. They're going to come back later and check it out after it's taped. Wishing them well.
Yeah.
Thank you for
The,
popping in.
all the work I did so far, I'm not too. I mean, I've had like 10 years of psychotherapy when I was a kid, which I didn't want to be there. My mum put me there. I didn't want to be there. I was just la 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 la. Do you know what I mean? So
Yeah,
to me,
yeah.
that kind of shit doesn't work. What worked for me was plant medicine. I was working with
Oh no,
mushrooms.
no, 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 no. Stop. It's not bullshit. It works, but
Oh no, it
it
works.
only
It didn't
works for
work
the
for me.
people who need it, who want it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, look, everybody has their path, whatever it is. If you found
Mm.
something that worked, I don't know, did I misread you or mishear you? Did you say it's bullshit?
No, 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 no. I've not said
In
it's
that case,
bullshit. I
everything
said
I'm
it
saying
didn't
is
work.
moot. Keep going.
It didn't work for me. It's not something I wanted. I just didn't want to be there when I was a kid and I've
Makes
been
sense.
put through
Yeah.
in front of a psychotherapist that just wanted me to talk about my life. I just wasn't interested in being there. So in that
Yeah.
sense, I don't think that it helped me. Do you know what I mean?
No, it
What
didn't.
no. What helped me the most in my life was the shamanic work that I did when I went to see a shaman and drank ayahuasca, or worked with mushrooms, or with peyote,
That's
or
helped
that that stuff
countless
that
people I know.
really changed my life. Well,
That's helped countless people I know. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Mm.
So, and I mean, it did. What did it do? It made me go back in the past and face my demons, face my fears. Maybe not all of them, but the main one that were here that were preventing me from being happy. I had to deal with that shit because I couldn't. I couldn't live any longer with it. There was a point where I was like, you know what? Fuck this. I don't want to be alive anymore. If that's what it is, if that's what life is about, then fuck it. Aliens, come and take me away. I'll literally pay you to abduct me. Do you know what I mean? It's like, how many times have I thought like that? And I still do sometimes. But it's like,
At the end of the day, for me, I see it. There's two lives. There's mine, and then there's life.
yeah, but
So
you are. Yeah.
I can't
Do you believe that you're
control.
separate?
Was that?
Do you believe that you're separate from the rest of life?
No. But in order for me to be able to function, I separate my life and life itself in terms that I see it. I can control my life and the things because it's my life. But I
Mm-hmm.
can't control what happens in my life due to life because I can't control life in general.
Yes, yes. You're
So
talking about
I
yeah.
have I have radical acceptance over anything I can't control simply because, well, I can't fucking
It's
control.
just the way it is. Yeah, yeah.
So, but what I can control, that definitely I try to keep on the up and up. So on that level, that's how I separate that's what I mean by, not that I see myself separate from, no, I see the universe as, you know, the atoms and the whole fucking thing. Yes, we're one. I get it.
Mm.
And I'm all for that. And I see the division and I see whatever, but at the same time, not my job. I have a job. My job is what I'm doing. And through what I'm doing, that brings a certain awareness to people
Mm.
as to who they are and who's around them on a massive behavioral level.
Yeah.
But generic, because by any means, I'm not a shrink. I never professed to be a shrink. None of this
Yep.
is therapy. I'm not in therapy. I'm sorry. I have a therapist. I don't do therapy. I'm not a therapist,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
but I have a monumental understanding of mental health
Yeah.
and human behavior in relation to violence, root cause, reasons, the whole fucking thing. Like once you understand this stuff, like people who took our masterclass could tell you at the end of it, when you see the typical, let's call it the stereotypical alpha male walking around, right? Before the masterclass, people might look at that and see a thug or an alpha male by virtue of, the pop culture definition, if you will, or a tough guy, or right. But after the masterclass, they see the hurt child, they see the fronting, they see the trauma, they see every reason why that person looks the way they do. They see the abuse that brought them to this level.
Mm.
They don't know what the abuse is. They don't know what the reasons specifically are for it, nor do they know where it comes from. But you can look at that person, you can look at different types of people and the way they behave, the way they dress, the way they act, the way they speak, the way they
Mm.
express themselves, and
Mm.
literally go have a very, very strong general baseline idea of what they went through in their lives that brought them to that point for them to
Yeah.
be doing and acting and saying the
Reflection.
things they are.
Yeah.
Say that
It's
again.
almost like a reflection, like their body language, facial expression, the way they dress, the way they talk and behave is like almost a reflection of their traumas. You can see
It's a
pretty much.
reflection of everybody's traumas. Take an individual who has to have a specific kind of car, dog, accessories. You smiled when I said dog specifically out of the
What
three.
accessories?
Um,
These ones.
Different. No, that different ball
Oh,
game.
that
It
one.
depends. Like if like you're walking around, showing that off.
Oh, that one maybe.
Yeah, yeah.
Sorry,
But
dude.
anyway, that aside, um, you smiled at the dog part. My dog, she passed away a couple of years ago, but I had her for 15 years. I had pictures of her on the net sometimes. She traveled with me all over the world. When I moved, she came with me. And she was a Labradoodle.
Mm.
And because people, fucking people, saw me as an image of back then the Senshido shredder guy, right? The
Mm.
fucking that. When I said I had a Labradoodle, I can't tell you how many people responded with, "Oh, I thought you'd have something like a pit bull or a Rottweiler or a Doberman."
Definitely.
I'm like,
Yeah.
why? Well, you're fucking this guy, the 20th toughest guy in the world, according to this magazine and that and whatever. And I'm sitting there going, and what the fuck does one have to do with the other? Yeah, but you have a Labradoodle. So it's a fucking dog, not an accessory. I don't buy a
Yeah.
fucking dog to display or do something for my image.
Mm.
If you're at a point in your life where you need a dog, a car, certain fucking clothing, tattoos to give meaning to who you are, you're
Mm.
pretty fucking empty. These are fillers for a void that you don't have answers for. All of that shit. and
Mm.
and somebody took that shit away from you and at some point somewhere down the road, and you need to fill it. and you need to hide it from the rest of the world that you are this fucking abused child because you don't ever want to go through that again. So here comes the fucking fronting. Here, these are defense mechanisms.
I get this. I get this very well. What you're saying, it's like, and I know because I'm you know, I've been going through it myself, and recently, I've really
So did
started
I.
to
Look at
do
my
a lot of
tats.
things. Yeah, I don't have any tattoos, but I've been. Oh, me, if I start, I'm not gonna end. So I'd rather not start with the tattoos, you know. But
It's annoying.
it's just like that. Okay, just put it that way. Imagine I'm just being self-aware now when I'm walking outside, yeah? If I'm walking outside, I realize that I have this shield, whatever you want to call it, this shield, this energy field around me, especially if I'm living in a pretty fucking rough neighborhood. So when I, you know, if I'm happy, I'll walk a certain way. If I see a group of five people that look a bit fucking shady, my body language will change, because what they will read on me when they get close is don't fuck with me. Do you know what I mean? But
Why
that will be
not at that point? Sorry to interrupt you. If see, I'm at a point where if I'm walking down the street and I see 5 shady fucks, I turn around and I pick another route. I'm not gonna start to fucking pose and walk by them and think if
yeah,
they do
no, I mean,
this,
no,
I'll do
no,
that.
that's
Why
too
not
much.
just fucking cross the street?
Yeah, that is too much.
Why
That
not?
is
Why not avoid that part of the neighborhood and go somewhere else?
you would
Why live in that neighborhood in the first place?
you can't, you don't always have the choice. You don't always have the
I know
choice.
you don't, but that's why I'm
No,
asking. Do you have a choice?
not really, not at the moment. I'm pretty
Okay,
good
fair
where
enough.
I am. It's not a problem that
Okay.
I'm living in a wrong neighborhood. And to be honest with you, like, you know, the example that I gave you is, I'm not gonna overinflate myself and go and walk around them and fucking look for trouble. That's not what I mean. But I'm just not gonna
No,
put
but
a victim. I'm just not gonna put a victim body language on, because
right.
I'm not gonna give them something to fucking rub. Someone to rub. Someone to fucking fight. Someone to. Do you know what I'm saying? So
Right. Okay.
there must be.
Let me tell you
There
something
must,
about.
yeah, yeah.
Sorry to interrupt, because right, if I and then I'm gonna forget.
All
You
right.
probably will too, but um, predators, the real predators. Now, when I say the real predators, I'm talking about antisocial personality disorder types, full blown,
Mm-hmm.
from the narcissist to the psychopath, the Machiavellian, the sociopath. Now, if you're walking down the street and there's a group of X amount of shady guys, if they're not antisocial personality disorder, 99.9% chance you're dealing with sociopathy and narcissism. The potential of Machiavellianism and psychopath in that situation are probably not.
What is Machiavellian?
That's the worst of the four. That's the that's a hierarchy of psychopathy.
So that's
These
the top,
people.
the extreme end spectrum of psychopathy. Are we talking about Hannibal Lecter or like
No,
American
Hannibal.
Psycho?
Yeah, we're talking about Hannibal Lecter in the TV series. If you watched it, yes, you have
Yeah,
because you
yeah.
told me
I've
to.
watched it
Okay, so
recently.
in the TV series, if you want,
Yeah.
Hannibal Lecter would be Machiavellian. Why? Because he's the type of psychopath who gains pleasure not just from the murders. It's not about the murders and the cooking people. It's about making everybody around him a fucking pawn, creating a game with other people's lives and watching it fucking unfold. And he
Yeah.
controls everything. There's a god complex to the Machiavellian.
Mm-hmm.
Stalin, the real life would be Machiavellian.
Mm.
Yeah. Now, psychopath, just a plain psychopath, you're looking at Bill Cosby. You're looking at Harvey Weinstein.
Mm.
These are psychopaths. They take pleasure in the act of fucking violating another person. All the other stuff they do because they have to hide the fact that they're violating the other person. It's not they don't take specific pleasure in manipulating blah blah blah. So you'll find Machiavellianisms in politics,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So,
Fuck.
for example, now that's to go back to the street scenario you're talking about.
Yeah.
That
Go
group
on.
is probably sociopathy, narcissistic personality. So you're looking at below average to slightly potentially above average IQ group. So probably average, right? But a predator who falls under those categories has an intuitive level of a predator. So here's the thing. Walking by them, no matter how confident you are or look, if you're really confident, it'll seep out. If you're fronting confidence but aren't really confident, they'll know it, but it's very intuitive. All of it is, it's not conscious for them. They fucking sniff it out. A real predator can tell when a rabbit wears a wolf costume and goes around pretending it's a wolf, overacting the wolf bit. Okay,
and that's what
I hate
it is.
to
It's
tell you, but your past crew there, the whole fucking combatives world, that's very much what it is. The bunch of fucking rabbits in wolf uniforms overacting, over putting on the wolf show. Why? Fucking bunch of scared little kids who were bullied or abused, never fucking dealt with it, found a system that gives them an access to beat the bad guy in their head 1,000,000 times over every time they go to the gym. Then they go back home, but they haven't really beat the bad guy. This is why every time they go out, you might have a lot of empathy. I'm not saying it's bad people, but it's a lot of anger. It's a lot of guilt, shame, and misdirected anger. They want to hurt their bully. We had one guy particularly at one of our master classes, big time combatives guy. You know exactly who he is. I'm not going to mention his name. He was brilliant at de-escalating. Fucking brilliant. One of the best I've seen. But at the end of every scenario, he said, "Oh, but I wouldn't do that in real life. I'd fucking hit him." Why? Oh, because nobody talks to me that way. I never, people don't fucking da 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 da. He couldn't get through. Just couldn't get through. And he was brilliant at it. We tried to talk about that. No, not getting through. In real life, he would fucking resort to violence. I'd beat the shit out of him. Why? Again, it's that anger. Never dealt with it. All they do with that anger is they put it on pads and in training and in weights, full on beast mode, level 10 violence, blah, 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 blah. They come home at night, they go to bed, the scared little boy is still fucking there. They don't know what to do with that. So they go back to the gym and pound the bags and pound the bad guys, show the world how tough they are, wear shirts that say alpha fucking male, right? Oh, whatever, the whole fucking thing, the wolf pack and the skulls and the whole thing. Right, but that's fronting. I see way past that because I was that. Go back to my old Senshito videos. Watch the shredder. Skull fucking man, to break his fucking neck. I was angry. It's all misdirected. Not that what I'm not saying what is being taught is not effective. I'm saying how it's being taught is anger and fear based.
Yeah,
This isn't a put down. This is a critique.
Based
on my professional experience.
Yeah, I did realize, like, I've been going through a pretty big shift this year, at the beginning of this year. But you know, we've been in touch on it, but and it really was like realizing that I was always at war, you know. Like I was always at war. Everywhere I was going, I was at war, man.
These types of systems it's perpetual war. Everybody's a bad guy. You got to carry 12 knives around you every time you walk out of the house to go to the store. There's a rape factory at every fucking corner. There's a shady guy. There's a guy in a hoodie. And the reality is that's literally less than 5% of worldwide violence represented, what they're all training for in fear. Because the reality of real world violence worldwide, based on every fucking statistical available database, information, book, documentary, internet resource site that every country in the world allows us to have, 90% of it is committed by people we know.
Well, they know
90 fucking percent worldwide, from homicide to murder to rape to sexual assault to fucking physical assault to manslaughter. 90% is people we know. Like, I mean, so all that anger and preparation is for 5%. And in that 5%, 65% of it is social violence. So you're learning how to beat up people like you. At the end of the day, not predators. Social violence is not predatorial violence. It's two guys in a parking lot getting into a fight over a parking spot, road rage incident, You spilt my fucking drink at the bar, so I'm going to smash your head into it 12 times. It's social violence. It's not antisocial. And what was that?
I mean, that all this is the context in which, and that's where I'm getting at, Rich. The context in which things that are being taught are being taught. Let's say, look, for example, when it comes to combatives, why am I, even though I'm very much looking to get, and I've already started to get into violence prevention, and I've started to apply it in my teachings as well. But even though I do that, why would I stick with the hardcore level 10 combatives? Because to me, I know what I do believe what you're saying now, and I'm not expecting to get in fights. I really am, and I'm not getting in fights because I'm good at avoiding and escaping and de-escalating if need be. I've worked the doors for 7 years, bro, in Eastern Europe and here. So and don't get me wrong, I've had to get my hands dirty many times, but I also de-escalated situations many times. But why would I stay? What is the combatives for me? It's quite simple. It's for soldiers. It's quite simple. It's how can I fuck somebody up in a war scenario where somebody's trying to kill me and I'm trying to kill them? What's the best way to fucking go about it? That's combatives.
Can I interrupt you 1 second?
Yeah.
It's for soldiers. In the 1980s, I train soldiers today. Present day, I train soldiers. I have one who showed up to my masterclass in Victoria, full on active. He just took the 4 days. They never get into hand-to-hand combat situations, fucking ever. They have drones. They've got tanks. They've got assault rifles. They've got guns. They've got knives. They've got a million different things and stuff. Hand-to-hand becomes almost like literally it's less than 1% of soldiers who are ever going to have to resort to hand-to-hand combat.
Yeah.
So it's not even for soldiers. You know who it's for? People who have still something in the back of their head or heart that they haven't dealt with yet. You know that little piece that you said that you still haven't fucking got there of that? We were talking about that earlier. That's why you're still stuck in the combatives, because of that little piece that you haven't gotten rid of. So the combatives is the protection of that piece. That's what it is.
Do you know what? I've been thinking about this a lot. I mean, I'm looking at people like Jeff Thompson, who I have a lot of respect for because of his path. I mean, he's completely left the training. I mean, he's not even training anymore. He's not even talking about violence anymore. He doesn't want anything to do with violence anymore. And so it's like, okay, I respect that because I'm a very spiritual guy and I understand the process. I understand what happened to me when I went through that awakening and stuff. But it's like, I love that shit, bro. I mean, I know that there's not only a trauma aspect of things. There certainly is, and I do agree with that. But I think that there is also love. I do have love in my heart for that shit. You know what I mean? I love that stuff. When I had my spiritual awakening, I stopped training for a whole year and a half. I said to myself, I want to be peaceful. I don't want to train martial arts anymore. I fucking gave my massive knife collection away. Do you know what? For a year and a half, I wanted to go to India, into temples and stuff. I wanted to go on a spiritual pilgrimage, man. And yeah, and so and you know, and then eventually at some point, I'm like, but wait a second, I love martial arts. It's not only that I'm traumatized. I love that shit. I have love in my heart for that stuff. So it's not something I can deny to my heart. If my heart tells me that I love that stuff, then there has to be something good in it as well. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, no, it's good for who and where you are right now.
Yeah.
You still need that piece, obviously, or else you would have worked through it. Right now, you're in a part of your life, you still need it. And I get it. Because
what happens when I work through it?
You're not going to need it anymore. Doesn't mean you stop. I still love martial art. I practice boxing daily in my workout routine. I shadow box. I do all kinds of stuff. If I had a bag, I'd be hitting it, but I don't have access to one. Boxing is my favorite of all the combatives and sports and martial arts. I just fucking love it. So, but I still do it. Although I teach prevention. What I teach and what I do, I love parkour. I fucking do that. And my kid's starting to get into it. There's nothing wrong with loving something. and doing it.
Mm.
But you got to look at the reasons as to why you love or you're doing it. What's the purpose? What's the reason?
I
What's it
have looked.
quelling?
I have
What's
looked
it
into
doing
it.
for you at that moment to, like, I mean, why combatives and not, say, boxing or
Okay,
MMA,
okay.
something
I'll tell
healthier?
you. I have looked into it, and things are shifting. I love MMA. I love boxing. I'm really focusing on my boxing and my MMA skills at the moment, right now. Yeah.
I see that,
Uh,
dude. You're
uh, but,
supremely fucking talented. You've got wicked skills.
so I'm slowly. I'm getting there, and I love that stuff. Why
Slowly,
combatives? Because
you're there.
combatives is. Eh?
You're there. You've got great skills. You're athletically supremely talented. You're
Cheers, man.
really good at what you do
I still got a lot of fucking work, made to get to where I want to get, man.
until you
But
die, and then some. So it doesn't matter. I
I
appreciate where you are and what you've accomplished.
hmm,
There's always going to be more to accomplish. It doesn't mean you can't acknowledge your
of course.
fucking skill level and where you're at now. Yeah.
I mean, when it comes to combatives, I still think why combatives is this ultimate. I mean, is the ultimate, way to fuck somebody up, and I'm gonna train. I'm gonna train that because it's the top.
I
It's the
highly
top.
disagree, but I think there's many better ways to fuck people up, even scientifically, but whatever. But hey, if that's your way, that's your way. Everybody's got their method. That's
Yeah.
fine. Um,
I mean, I like to have a look at everything. Me, I don't
let me
stay
let me
with
tell you
just one
something
thing.
about your skills.
Mm,
I haven't, outside of when I teach the physical portion of survival, of physical survival training, let's say, whatever level. Outside that, when I teach that, I never fucking practice it. Ever. I fucking never do shredding on my own. And I've never, ever, ever came close to even losing an ounce of my ability to do it because I don't do it. Now,
So
one,
how
it's
do
got to
you
do with the
explain that?
nature of the tool.
How do you explain that? If you don't do something, how are you not losing skills if you don't
Well,
practice something?
for starters, the nature of the five principles in extreme violent situations, it's non-perishable skills. It's all rooted in your natural ability. I learned the tools. I'm never going to forget how to eye gouge.
Yeah, but
If I rode a bike when I was, the last time I rode a bike, I don't even remember. And when I rode
mm,
it the last time before that must have been a decade. I never forgot how to ride a bike. I never fucked up. I never fell. I never almost gotten. In a second, I know how to fucking ride a bike. Sometimes I leave for 2, 3 weeks. I don't drive my car. I come back. I get in my car. Oh, look at that. I know how to fucking drive a car. I don't need practice every
mm,
day in high stress situations with my car to learn how to navigate my car. I can, right? So it's the same thing with the aspect of, and I fucking hate that to call it that, but the shredder, the five principles at close range. I'm never
mm.
going to forget how to throw an elbow. I don't need to practice that. I'm never going to forget how to throw a palm strike or not.
You
All of
won't
this stuff is non-perishable skills.
Yeah, but you'll get
Perishable.
quicker, you'll get sharper. You'll get sharper. You'll get quicker by practicing that stuff.
No, I no.
No, what
My
do you
my
mean?
speed and my strength comes from my other workouts. I train every day, 5, 6 days a week, from
Mm,
cardio to shadow fighting to weights and kettlebells and body and parkour and right. So in terms of health, speed, strength, agility, I get that there. I take all my strength, speed, strength, agility, and I put it into my fucking shred, and it's right there. And honestly, let's say my skills in shredding
yeah.
diminish, which they haven't, not even a bit, by 5% yearly from now until the day I die. So fucking what? Even by the time I'm 80, I'm still gonna have enough skills to fuck anybody up with, even if they diminish to that level, I'm still gonna have whatever is necessary to fuck somebody up. And the reality is who's gonna try to fuck me up?
Yeah, yeah.
Look, I'll give you an example because that paranoia thing, that's a big combatives thing. When I was
Mm,
in Great Yarmouth, we just did a
yeah.
shredder seminar there 6, 8 months ago, whatever the fuck it was, this year. I had 50 plus people at the workshop. Out of the 50 plus people, there must have been at least 12 to 20 instructors in name it. Combatives, Krav Maga, martial arts, fucking you name it. All kinds of guys, right? So you got 50 people. I opened up my seminar with, outside of hi, I'm Rich, this is a fucking workshop. I opened up the seminar with how many people in this room have gotten into a physical altercation in a self-defense situation since you were 18 years old until present day? Raise your hands. 3 people rose their hands out of 50 plus people. So I said, okay, let me hear your stories. Not one of them, it was self-defense. All 3 people, it was social violence that got physical. All 3. One guy was at a party, bunch of teenagers came in, they were being loud. He walked up to them, mouthed off, tried to throw them out, didn't work out, got physical. Another guy was on a metro station, in a subway station. Some guy was being loud and obnoxious. He was near women. He took it upon himself to be the hero, went to try to calm the guy down. It didn't work out. It got physical. Third situation was similar. Not one was self-defense. 50 people in a room training every day to beat and kill a whole bunch of fucking people. Worst case scenario, not one of them out of the 55 got into a self-defense situation since the age of 18 till present day when they were in that room. And then I asked how many people in this room have experienced the following. And I went through a list of narcissistic behaviors: coercion, manipulation, anger, psychological abuse, emotional abuse, sexual abuse at the hands of somebody they know. Imagine how many hands fucking raised.
Yeah.
No matter where I go. So again, the purpose. Why do I need to train shredding and keep it really? I'm not at war, buddy. I'm a 54-year-old man who's got a 11-year-old boy and a wife. I live in a neighborhood full of old people. Literally, most people are seniors. We had one per snatch in since I've lived here in terms of violence. The lady nearly chased the guy down and killed him. My landlady, it happens to boot. There's no need. Like the odds of my getting into a situation and literally speaking, a physical altercation, for me to find myself into that, the odds are like 0.1% at the lifestyle that I have and the people around me right now. There's nobody in my life that I know that I would find myself in an extremely violent confrontation. There's no environment that I go to where that would happen. And if it does, I have all the skills in the world to pick up on it half an hour before it does. So I'm out. So the reality is
you don't need that.
Training. Dude, what was that?
You don't need it. I get it. And I agree with everything.
Most people don't need it. Most people don't feel when they don't need.
Does it not? Do you know when you move? I don't know if you know what feeling I'm going to speak about, but when I move, when I shadow box, when I work on the bag,
I never said don't do that.
What?
I never said don't do that.
Yeah, but when I do that stuff, or even stuff that's very combative, that's more combative than that, I feel free. I feel like I'm present.
Same when I do parkour. Same when any movement is essential to life.
Yeah.
Again, I'm saying in terms of systems like aggressive systems like Kala, combatives, and all that shit, kill them all and let God sort them out type systems. In terms of fucking these types of systems, nobody fucking needs that. Nobody needs that. Anything those systems offer, you can find in a good MMA school, taught in a much healthier manner, with much better ethics, that's much healthier on both the body and the brain. It doesn't matter. Why? Because of the methodology of how that is being taught, the mindset behind it, the behavior, the stress, the inoculation, the cult fucking mentality, the us versus them, that is so negative. It's horrible that's not a healthy method of living. I'm not saying don't move, fucking move, shadow box, fight. If creating scenarios is your thing, create scenarios and fucking run them, because right?
I do a lot of
But
weaponry, for example. See, I
yeah,
do a lot of
yeah,
weaponry, and
I
that's the
practice
same thing.
sword, dude. I got a fucking sword in the corner of my house. I fucking love sword. I can't wait till my kid's old enough and wants it. Yeah, same here. Almost right. Yeah, I love it. I love it.
Mm.
But I don't walk around carrying it. Yeah,
No,
I
yeah,
don't
yeah, of
teach
course,
my
man.
students you need to carry one because there's bad guys at every. There's a difference. I'm saying the
Mm,
mentality. That's all I'm saying. I'm not
okay.
saying what's being taught isn't an effective means of killing another human being. It more than is, obviously.
Yeah.
But who the fuck needs that? That is what I'm
Mm,
asking. Look at men, males, worldwide. Worldwide, 65% of males who perish in manslaughter, in violent confrontations,
mm,
perish at the hands of another good person having a bad day. It's
yeah.
social violence. That's 65% of males who die in violent confrontations, die in non-predatory violence. They die in violence that could have been de-escalated. All
Mm,
of it. There's a guy in fuck if I remember. I wish Pam was here. Albania or the fucking Czechoslovakia, somewhere in Europe. CCTV camera. He studied, I think it was 2 years worth of recorded violence on CCTV camera.
mm.
All the male violence, and these are corner stops, road rage, bars, coming in and out of bars, fast food
Yeah.
joints, parking lots, and the like. 65% of the people who died at the hands of good people having a bad day.
Mm,
All of it could have been de-escalated. Over 90% was provocational, meaning that it wasn't self-defense. And that's what combatives fucking does. It's aggressive. There's no fucking de-escalation. I know you keep telling me that, but every combatives guy, whoever came in and trained with me, told me
mm,
there's no fucking de-escalation. This is the
mm.
this is the extent of de-escalation in combatives. Okay, we're gonna assume de-escalation failed, and now you're here.
Mm.
Right? Or it's
I love you.
back
Uh,
off, stand down. Do you
yeah.
like your teeth where they are? Stay away. Do you hear me? That's not de-escalation. None of that is
I love your
de-escalation.
de-escalation work. I am using your de-escalation work now more and more, and I'm teaching it to my student now. And I really love the fact that in your de-escalation tactics, first of all, you're fishing for empathy. So you're trying, at least you're on a moral and ethical aspect, you're trying at least. You're doing your best to find, and on the second hand, you're trying to find out what sort of person you have in front of you. And if you're dealing with a cunt, we're dealing with somebody who's a criminal and who's a sociopath. Now you
Yeah.
can now he'll never expect you to preempt him because
And
he thinks you're
the
weak.
reality of
Yeah.
de-escalation,
Mm,
9 out of 10 times, you're dealing with a good person having a bad day.
mm,
9 out of 10 times. Not 6, not 3. That's 9. So
mm.
de-escalation works in social situations 9 out of 10 times. The one time it doesn't, the bad guy will never see your strike coming in a million years.
Yeah, yeah, because he thinks you're
In a
weak.
million years.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
And his guard is completely fucking down. Right?
Mm,
His ego is skyrocketing. He's not scared. He's right there. You
mm,
don't even need to hit him. My kid could finish him off with the shredder. It
mm,
doesn't matter what human being is in front of that person. There's no need for hammer fists or knees or elbows or headbutts or none of it. Why? Because he's gotten there through psychology, through
mm.
behavior. This is called strategy and tactics. The other way around is fear and anger based.
Yeah.
I'm going to
And
try
you
to
see, so
scare you into not fucking with me. If it doesn't work, I'm going to fucking punish you
mm,
for it. At the end of the day, it's a fear and anger based system. There's no strategy involved whatsoever. It's kill them all
mm,
and let God sort them out. As a matter of fact, at the end of every situation that most combatives and Krav systems do after they beat the shit out of the guy and he's down, there's one final stomp either to the head or to the leg before you run. That's a
wrist on
fucking
the groin.
you're going to court for that so fucking fast in a first world country, it's not even funny.
Yeah.
Especially if you're dealing with a social violence situation, which is 9 out of 10 times. Because antisocial violent people, they're not that stupid. The reality of 99.9% of self-defense systems being taught out there, including every combatives in Krav Maga. I don't give a fuck what the name is. They basically are learning how to defend against either good people having bad days. That's who the fuck they're beating up half the time, more than half the time. And the other 1 to 5% of the time, you're literally learning how to beat up the lowest form, the dumbest motherfucking criminal in the world. Because only a dumbass fucking somebody with no IQ or really low would expose themselves if they're really an antisocial personality disorder. If I'm a criminal and I picked you as my victim, how fucking stupid do I have to be to come at you? Hey man, you fucking got you. How dumb do I have to be to do that? And they exist. They do. They're the easiest fucking. They're the bottom of the totem pole, the bottom of the barrel level of violent criminal you can face. The easiest. My fucking a 12-year-old girl can take this guy with a 5 hours of training. You need 200 years of combatives and elbows to beat this guy up. He's too stupid. And we've had tons of kids do it. 13, 14-year-olds who took our fucking courses, who later on we get messages from and we have them. Hey, this and this happened. A 15-year-old girl got jumped by an adult male in an alley in a suburbia. Talk about the small percentage. Complete stranger. Took her down, mounts her, fucking full adult male. She's a 14-year-old girl, rips her fucking shirt off, goes down, starts to fucking suck on her neck. She fucking shreds the shit out of him, cranks his neck, turns him over, rips him apart, and runs. Gets the fucking cops. They come back, they arrest them. There's a picture of her with the fucking cop. She sent us the message. That's 5 hours of training, man. Why the fuck do I have to put her through 50 years of stress inoculation drills and push-ups and knees and elbows and hammerings and fistings and fucking why? There's no need. Self-defense doesn't require any of that. This is self-defense. This is combat. Where do civilians get into combat? Fucking nowhere, unless you're a cop or you're a soldier. Now, even cops, the other shit, they do what the fuck you learn in combatives. They're going to have paperwork like this and fucking lawsuits coming out of their yin-yang if they're fucking doing that shit. So there's no legal or moral or ethical aspect to it. The real strategy comes in de-escalation. De-escalation done properly, that's a lot of information you're getting from the person in front of you. But the real predator, the real predators, the real bad guys, like fucking pedophiles, rapists, the guy who's going to murder you, you're not going to see him coming, buddy. In a million years, you're not going to see him coming. So all of your training for level 10 attackers, you're not seeing him coming in a million years. Why? Because they're going to shoot you while you're sleeping. They're going to poison your food. They're going to stab you in the back. That's level 10. Yeah, level 10 violence. You're talking about higher IQ here. You're talking about, I'm going to victimize this person. How am I going to do it without getting caught or attention brought to me, right? It becomes meticulous now. Now you're dealing with antisocial personality disorders. This is where 90% of the time we know the person. Why do we know the person? Well, what's the fucking motive for violence? There's three motives. One, I want your belongings. That falls under 45% of violence in the streets. Street violence, 45% of street violence that's not social violence falls under the category of armed robberies. You don't even need combatives or just give them their fucking stuff and let them walk away. 9 out of the 10 armed robbers are going to take your shit and walk away. They're not going to kill you. 9 out of 10. Why? Well, they're muggers. They're people who are poor. They're this, they're that. The joy killers, it's a small time. The odds of running into one of those is like the odds of running into somebody who's going to throw a hand grenade at you. So again, what's the fucking necessity? Zilch, zero. So the real world violence, the level 10s that you people all talk about, the combatives in the crowd, what if it's a gang of 20 guys? Where the fuck are you going to find a gang of 20 guys? Where do you live? Where do you hang out? Why are you there? How did you find yourself in a position where 20 males are surrounding you? And I don't give a fuck who you are or what movies you watch or how well you're trained. 20 guys are going to, you're not getting out of that. There's no way. Fuck you and all your skills. You might knock 6 out, but the rest are killing you. So what are you going to do? Real world violence comes at you in the strangest of ways. And it doesn't come at you face on. Not the antisocial type. Not the real bad guys. The real bad guys, they don't want you to see them coming. 95% of males who die in antisocial violence. So we're talking about murder.
Yeah.
Outside of serial killing, which is a small percentage. And outside of criminal related incidences or vocational incidences, meaning you're not a cop or a mob guy or a gang guy, you're an average fucking civilian, you're a male, you have a regular job like the rest of the world. That person, 95% of these people who are murdered by people they know. Over 45%, it's their wife or girlfriend or lover or intimate partner of some kind. The rest falls under the category of business partner, coworker, boss, the ex-boyfriend of the person they're with, doctor, client, and then you got the 65%, which is social violence. And all of these murders, the 95%, the person never fucking saw it coming. Julien, I don't know how many times I have to say this to people until it fucking hits. If you watch every single episode of Forensic Files, medical doctors, if you call it, it's called in the UK, or every criminal documentary of, child human trafficking, rape, murder, serial killing, all of them. Watch all of them. Not one, not a fucking one would combatives, Krav Maga, MMA, or any physical martial art, for that matter, would have helped any of the victims in any of the episodes or shows or documentaries that I've ever watched. What the fuck does that tell you?
What does that tell
exactly.
me?
It's fucking speechless. When I found that out, I went, wow, what the fuck was I doing for 20 years? Teaching people all that shit. Wow. Like, look, when we don't know better, we don't know better. But when the information is presented and you willfully ignore it, then you've got a fucking agenda.
I get that. I mean, I have been experiencing violence when I was a kid, and I'm saying to myself, what was it? Well, once again, it was from people I knew, people from my school, or the brothers, or
It's people we
like
fucking
that.
know. Yeah.
Yeah.
And if you look at when you were younger, I'll bet you 95% of them weren't self-defense. They were social. You somehow participated in the escalation of the situation. Had you had prevention skills, none of it would have happened. Literally speaking. And that's another thing, is the vast majority of, forget social violence, the vast majority of antisocial violence, predatorial violence that occurs in the proverbial streets, because the reality is it doesn't. The reality is most violence occurs in people's homes, on the way to or from work, at work, in a hospital, at a social event. It's rarely in the fucking street or in an alley. This is where criminal stuff, this is where we're talking about street fights, gang violence, right? And if you see any system that goes street defense for women, that's a fucking movie. Where are women getting into street violence? Outside of getting raped by the millions in third world fucking countries on the streets. And I don't care what you learn. If you beat one of those guys up, they're going to burn you with acid you're not even making it out of there. So fuck all your physical skills. It's going to make things worse for her. So now what? The reality is women aren't getting into street fights. They're not getting into fucking back alley brawls at night with guys in hoodies and tattoos, right? The most dangerous place for a woman is in her own fucking home. Statistically speaking, world fucking wide, in her home. Fucking roll. So why the fuck is that being taught in rape prevention seminars under 5 hours? In a million years. It's, first of all, it's insanity. Second of all, whoever's teaching that taught it in a gym, learned it in the gym, and never ever tried it in a fucking bedroom between a bed, a wall, and a night table.
Yeah.
At 1 o'clock in the morning with an adult male on top of a 14-year-old girl after beating her fucking aunt with a hammer, pulling her out of bed, her banging her head, complete surprise element, and it's her fucking uncle who's mounting her. A buck and roll. It's mutton fucking blowing.
So Rich, in terms of physical skill set, okay, because you still teach the physical skill set as part of what you do. So because that's one thing I got a difficulty to wrap my head around. What do you teach, bro? What do you teach? Don't you teach people
for starters?
Yeah.
For starters, we teach tools, what our human beings' natural tools are. And everybody has different access to natural tools. Everybody. So you have much more access to natural tools than a 45-year-old woman who's going to come in and do a 5-hour workshop with me and leave and never see me again. So for me to teach her knees and elbows is asinine. In a million years, she's not going to do it. We used to teach knees and elbows as part of the safe curriculum to young girls, 14, and young boys, 14, 15. Came day 5, the mock attack. 95% of them never threw a knee or elbow, ever. Never even remember to. Nothing. Zero. Never came out. The elbow, we never saw it, or the knee. 5% attempted it. Out of the 5% who attempted it, nobody ever, except once. And the guy was already on his knees and she kneed him in the face. But nobody ever threw a successful knee during a physical confrontation or elbow. Not a one in 5 hours taught. The average civilian is never going to do that. It's a fine motor skill. They don't have it in their repertoire. You do because you've done Thai boxing and Jeet Kune. You've been doing this since you were fucking came out of your mother's vagina. Fine. She hasn't. The 14-year-old girl in front of me in the school who's never done anything in her life, who doesn't even fucking want to be there. Her parents and her teacher made her do the class. She's not fucking doing this and fucking helmets and arm bar. She's not remembering any of that. Statistically, it's the most useless thing in the world to teach her is a technical application. But she's going to remember go for eyes and go for throat. Everybody remembers that. They're the only two targets that will debilitate any human being. I don't give a fuck who you are. You can't see, fuck you, you're not that great of a fighter anymore. You can't breathe, fuck you, you're not that great of a fighter anymore. You're unconscious, wonderful, but a 14-year-old girl is not going to knock out her 38-year-old uncle determined to rape her who just fucking drugged her and she's like, or came out of bed or whatever. Plus, you have to remember the factor is that real-world violence comes with a behavioral delivery system that has been set up by the perpetrator for days, months, weeks, years in advance, depending on how well you know the person, from love bombing to them being a familial or a friend or an acquaintance. There's the whole holy fucking shit. Why is this person doing this to me? Right. And if 95 to 97% of murdered females are murdered by people they know, over 50 to 60% of it being intimate partners, the rest falling under immediate family members to exes to coworkers to bosses to doctors to fucking coaches to and the list goes fucking on. Right. For example, 44 girls out of the thousands we've taught between Pam and I in 5 years at Safe International, over 200 a week, 44 came out and revealed to us, hey, I'm going through this or that happened to me. Out of the 44 girls, only 2 of them, it was strangers. The other 42, it was people they knew, straight down the barrel, every fucking single one of them. So there's no amount of physical techniques that's going to function here for her in terms of learning applications. So nor will she go physical when the situation occurs. They're going to freeze. Why? A woman who comes and does a self-defense course for 5 hours, who's been groomed, or a man, it doesn't matter on the fucking gender, any human being who does a self-defense course, who has been groomed previously by their assailant for days, weeks, months, or years previous, where a level of trust has been established, all of a sudden is going to have a mental fucking traumatic freeze response of there's betrayal, there's a whole bunch of shit that occurs that doesn't occur with a stranger because fuck you, I don't know you. So there's no intimate connection. So there's no delivery system other than a potentially physical one where you try to fucking somehow set me up with an ambush. So in terms of physical skills, first, I never teach them under 5 to 10 hours. I won't touch physical stuff if I have less than 10 hours with a group, especially if they've never done anything before. That's 1. 2, when we do work physical stuff, we teach tools, targets, and mindset based on each individual's personal skills and limitations. Because everybody in the room I teach has different, right? Unless I work with specific groups. So I don't have a school anymore. It's different. When I have a school, much more. We can do techniques. We have time, blah, blah, blah. But in workshops, which is all I do, workshops and master classes, to teach anything else, but unless they've done X amount of hours to go to the physical, would be criminal. Imagine you're going to go do a fucking engineer's course, right? You've never done engineering before. You're going to walk into a 5-hour introductory course of engineering. You think they're going to teach you how to fucking start building an engine on day one in 5 hours? You're not even going to fucking look at a physical tool in 5 hours if you haven't understood what engineering consists of, right? And you've never done it before. There is no other skill in the world that in a 5-hour workshop, you're going to teach somebody such advanced things other than self-defense, because self-defense is a money-making fucking business to fulfill an individual's ego. So I'm going to teach you that we're doing knife defense today after 3 hours. What the fuck? A knife defense seminar in 5 hours to a bunch of civilians, and you're doing a whole bunch of physical stuff? That is the most irresponsible fucking criminal thing I've ever heard and seen. It's fucking insane, especially since knife violence doesn't. I've never seen a knife defense corpse on the internet, live, in anywhere. Not a one taught that reflects what real world knife violence looks like to the average civilian. Not a fucking one. Zero. Watch any fucking murder caught on tape by knife. Anyone that is self-defense, not fucking kids and fucking 15-year-olds in malls stabbing each other. That's not self-defense. That's fucking, we agreed to be here. Egos are flaring. You're a moron. You get what you reap what you sow. I'm talking about self-defense. Somebody is assaulting an unwilling, non-consensual human being that didn't participate in the escalation of the situation with a knife. Have you ever seen how it happens? It's an ambush. Nobody ever sees the first few stabs. It's always like, what the fuck? Even if they survive it. And then it's a scramble for their lives in a cubicle. That's either an Instabank machine or a little fucking office or a bureau. That's if the person is conscious. And the rest of real world knife violence is an ambush, either from behind or you're asleep when it happened. It doesn't happen where the person pulled it and you can do your fucking V grip, C grip, jam the weapon, clinch the guy. In what fucking world? This is movies. That's pop culture violence. Real world violence. If you watch knife violence, nobody's teaching it correctly. Especially if they're doing physical. Why? Because you're never gonna fucking see it. What's the point? You're never gonna see it. But what you will see is all the behavioral red flags and cues that's going to make your intuition go, something's fucking off here. I'm out. Because once that fucking thing comes out, I don't care who you are, or what fantasy fucking world you live in, or how many t-shirts you buy that says this old man does karate or fucking whatever. You're not defending yourself there. Why? It's not your state of mind. And these things don't happen every day. Statistically, they happen in such a small, minuscule bubble that the element of surprise when it does happen is fucking mind-blowingly shocking to the trained or the untrained. And if you're trained, well-trained, you'll see it coming. You won't even be there when it fucking happens. Simply stated, with a simple understanding of what the fuck prevention and violence really is. Not pop culture, martial arts, self-defense violence, who love to modify reality and attacks to fit their systems or drills or techniques. I'm talking real-world violence. So when we do get to the physical portion, besides tools and targets based on an individual's personal skill levels, we teach it from the ambush, the failed ambush. Because the only time you're actually really going to be able to do something physical in a level 10 situation is when you fucking got ambushed and it didn't work out. Fucking got stabbed. I turn around. The guy's fucking there. I'm bleeding. I got to fight. That's fucking real world. And the chances of that happening are minuscule. Why? Simply because everybody talks about situational and environmental awareness, but there's behavioral awareness, and all three work together. So you've got environmental, situational, which means as the thing develops in the environment based on the behavior, but the first and primary one is behavioral awareness. Every environment in the world has a baseline behavior to that environment. You take a group of people, you put them in a church or a mosque, you remove them from that place and you put them in a pub, there's going to be two different baseline behaviors at both establishments with the exact same group of people, simply stated. And so getting a sense of these baseline behaviors right off the bat and understanding what they constitute and what constitutes red flags, right off the bat, you walk into a place, something stands out, you walk the fuck out, you go to the next environment, plain and simple, simply stated, done fucking deal, I don't even think about it. Hey, look, not for nothing. Everybody I grew up with, Julien, all my friends, relatives, cousins from here and in other countries, high school down to grade school, some of them I still know, right? I'm the only asshole who got into all these violent situations in my life. Why? Because I was angry and I went fucking out into the environments where it existed and put myself in these places where I would attract it unwillingly, sometimes willingly, a lot of the times willingly, 50-50. But
Yeah.
all of my cousins, all of my high school friends, their wives, all of their kids, every single one of them never got into a fist fight past high school. Not one. Zero. None of them got jacked by 12 guys with knives at a bar. Not a one. Zero. The vast majority of every woman married to people I know or not, my wife, all my ex-wives, every girlfriend I've ever had down the line, every single one of them experienced some form of abuse at the hands of parents, siblings, and or boyfriends and husbands. Every one of them. Every one. And the physical was maybe 2 to 3% outside of the sexual, which is obviously also physical abuse, but on a different light. Every single one of them. But none of them got into street fights. None of them had to beat somebody up in a city bus or a bar or a lineup at the movies. None of them ever. And we're in our 50s now. And this is from all walks of life, brother. From people who have fucking all kinds of money. They're fucking out vacationing every year. The brother owns a fucking Lamborghini, to people like me who live in a fucking basement apartment in some neighborhood, and everything in between. Physical violence, but everything else, all kinds, brother, all kinds.
So what about red flags then? If we speak about, that's one thing I really love, man, when I watch your posts. You know, is these little things that most people just go, right, I'm just gonna go with it because that's just the way things are, or that person doesn't mean bad, or that, and you know, you realize that you find yourself around people that are not necessarily who you think they were. You know, so
There's a lot of that.
how can we speak about this a little bit? What sort of behavioral red flags do we have to look for in people? Because I think that's
Well, it
very
depends on,
important. No.
if we're talking about on a general level,
Mm,
like general level, we're looking at the very first one is lack of empathy.
yes.
Does this
Yeah.
person have a lack of empathy?
Mm-hmm.
The second one,
Unfortunately, there's a lot of people like that. Unfortunately, like fuck.
yeah, 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 well, yeah. 30% of the general population. It's a big number.
That is massive, bro.
Yeah, but not just that. 30% of the general population, and the vast majority of these people are attracted to positions of power,
Power.
control. So
Mm,
your industry is jam-packed with them. Jam-packed.
mm,
I would go as far as saying that over 75% of our industry, male and female alike, instruct people teaching from the no names to the biggest names in the world that you all know them now. 75%, and I'm being generous, I would say more,
mm,
are at the least, at the very, very, very least, narcissistic personality disorder. Then
mm,
you've got some who are sociopaths. Then you've got some, there's a handful, tiny percentage, psychopaths, tiny in our industry. Because the psychopaths are also attracted to positions of power that make money, and our industry doesn't really make money. So if you
mm,
look at the people in our industry who are making, like, a lot of money, there's some scams going around somewhere. Something's off
mm,
because, right? So, and our industry attracts traumatized people. There's no two
mm,
ways about it. So at the end of the day, you have, Pam said it best, you've got traumatized people teaching traumatized people, both who, for the most part, I'd venture to go up to saying is 95% of them never went through any kind of therapy at all. Probably don't even know where they need fucking therapy. But here they are, right? I was one of those people for a long time. I had PTSD, all kinds of shit. Didn't even know, no diagnosis, no therapy, nothing. And I'm teaching other people with similar symptoms from their hells. That does harm. Does good, but it does harm at the same time. It's not counterproductive.
Yeah.
Because if the individual has empathy, like yourself for that matter, like myself, it's different. But if the individual lacks it, that's a big that's a whole now you're falling under they're bleeding on other people.
You can make you see that's something that I started to realize, especially in the recent year. In this year, I don't know. I mean, you know, the universe is amazing the way that it works, but it's like I've noticed that more and more people that get in touch with me for private sessions are people that choose to speak to me about their problems, about their childhood, about it's almost like, do you know when you say earlier on, I'm not a therapist, and it's like, I mean, we are in some way, shape, or form. We're not psychotherapists. We've not gone to the university to be that. But in some way, shape, or form, I feel like this is what I'm doing. You know, I feel like what I'm doing.
There's a difference between
sort of
doing. Right, I get what you're saying. There's a difference between doing something that's therapeutic and therapy, right? Hitting a bag is therapeutic. Doing weights is therapeutic. Getting into a fight for some people is therapeutic, right? Going shooting,
no, I mean, we're talking about
playing video games for hours is therapeutic.
I think we're talking about something different here. Like when I mean, you know, when I have students that are coming to me and that are like, okay, so I can't mention any name because, you know, that wouldn't be proper. But let's say I got a student that is coming to me that's got issues that used to have issues with his father. His father used to bully him, like emotionally, mentally, physically, and as a result of that, every time somebody gets in his face and starts, you know, giving it to him like that, he's petrified. Trigger. And he needs. That's why he came to see me. He came to see me because he wants to be able to feel confident in front of a person that's insulting him and being in his face. And so I had to find different ways to prepare him and to get him to that point, and that required various drills, various role plays, and, you know, gradual pressure. But do you know what I mean? And I really see that as therapy, because at the end of the day, if a person is coming to see you feeling worse, and then when they leave you, they're feeling better, then it is some sort of therapy, is it not?
Well, then you can also say alcohol is therapy, because when people drink, they feel better.
That's disruptive.
Look, I'll explain to you why.
Yeah.
Doing that is therapy to a certain degree. It's therapeutic, but not therapy. Why? Because it doesn't tackle the problem at its root. It's a band-aid solution. Unless he figures out how to deal with the core root, what the origins are, and how to deal with the core root of the problem with proper tools that both you and I don't have, because that's not our field. Look, if someone comes in and goes, I got a broken arm, man, but I really want to train today because this and that, but I don't have time to the doctor, blah, 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 blah. Yeah, I could put a stick and fucking tape it up for today. But does he need antibiotics? Does he, does he need it to be tighter? Did I do it too tight? Is it cutting off his circulation? I'm not a fucking doctor. I can give you this temporary stick and band-aid thing, right? But at the end of the day, you're going to need somebody who's going to fix that. My arm breaks. I don't go to a martial artist to fix it. My leg breaks. I don't go to a martial artist to fix it. My knee hurts. I don't go to a martial artist to fix it. Why should I go to a martial artist to fix my brain when my brain hurts? That's a body part too. So I need an expert on brains, not some fucking guy who hits bags and does push-ups for a living. That's not who I want to see. It's the wrong guy. That guy might give me therapeutic solutions, right? You too hit a bag. You'll feel good. Yeah, I do. But still, At the end of the day, the anger is still there. At the end of the day, I still feel triggered. Yeah, I can work through my trigger, temporary band-aid, but why do I still have this and that? How do I get rid of that piece? Do I want to live this way for the rest of my right? So he might need tools that you and I can't give them. There's certain people I will refuse to teach today if I feel that they're beyond the point that I can reach them. In terms of, now I can give them all the skills in the world, but they're never going to get past through their own personal, if you want, coping mechanisms or traumatic responses or triggers, because I don't, that's not my forte. I can give you a whole bunch of information that can make you recognize that you have these things, but I'm not the one that's going to help you fix them. I can give you tools to help you in this area, which is inattentively also going to help you in this area. It's like if I played baseball all of my life and there's a baseball in the back seat of my car and some guy gets out of a car, he's all pissed off, and I take my baseball bat and I know how to fucking swing it. It doesn't mean that baseball is now, we're going to do a self-defense system with baseball bats because Richard Dimitri used the baseball bat for self-defense and it worked. But that's how fucking our industry is. Some dude did something, it worked for him, he assumes the whole world can do it, so he's going to teach that as predicated part of his fucking system. I'm sorry, that's not how the world works. That's how your world works, and that's how people like you's world works. This is why you look at certain systems and you look at the crowd at their workshops and they all fucking look the same. Why? Because it attracts a certain kind of person, right? I hate to harp, but look at combatives. Like 75% of the group, guys with beards or shaved heads or both or one or the other, tight black t-shirts, some kind of cargo pants or camel pants or whatever, or some form of similar something. That is the generic look of 70 white guys between the ages of 18 and 35. That is the generic fucking combatives, if you want, student, client. You're not going to find a 270-pound woman who's a nurse fucking go train with combatives, right? You might be odd one here and there. Why? Because these people make a name for themselves, and then the fucking average civilian goes to, like, you should hear the fucking stories I hear from people who come to our master classes who went to these other people to train and then came back and were completely fucking traumatized. Two men in particular drove home from one particular guy's workshop, and the guys you interviewed not long ago, actually, literally speaking, traumatized. They couldn't fucking speak to each other in the car for an hour over what they went through at this guy's workshop. They were fucking like traumatized completely. Like, give you an idea, right? So yeah, you might make a name for yourself. The average civilian is going to go, and then they're going to leave, and then you're going to go, oh, look, I teach the average civilian. Once. These two are never going back. Ever. They're never, ever, in their heads, you're insane. Right? So it doesn't matter that you trained them once and when they walked away, yeah, it was great. Of course they told you it was great. They were scared. Fuck. You intimidated the living hell out of both of them. What do you think they're going to tell you? No, this fucking sucked. You shouldn't be teaching. You're going to knife them in the throat or stick your pencil in their fucking stomach or something. At the end of the day, it's not just our industry that attracts these people, but our industry is full of them. The vast majority of the big names fall under the antisocial personality disorder type. You could see the cult mentality, and not just in combatives. You see it in karate, you see it in Brazilian jiu-jitsu, you see it's a human thing, not a style thing. You get one of those who gets into there and becomes big enough, inadvertently, they're going to create a cult. Why? That's who the fuck they are. This is who they are. That's what they do. That's their behavior. And if you can't pick up on these red flags, then you're going to fall victim to it. What were the red flags? Well, it starts, love bombing is a big one. At first, you get showered with how great you are. Oh, you got a lot of, if we're looking at our industry, you got a lot of skill, you're very special, you'll be my number one, a lot of promises that really don't ever come true. They keep that carrot dangling in front of you forever. You can almost taste it at times. Sometimes you get a little bite, you'll feel on top, but they're going to quickly fucking bring you right back to your place during a workshop, in a demo session, or they'll say something that it's going to be right back down. Why? I got to maintain my control here. You're never ever going to be as good as they are. I don't care how hard you train. And the excuse they're going to give you is going to be something along the lines of this. Well, you're here and I'm here, So no matter how much you train, so will I. You're never going to be as good as me, right? So there's going to be that. This was told to me by
Yeah,
one of
yeah.
these big names. Yeah. So just to give you an idea, right? Um, they take your ideas and pass it off as their own. They gaslight you. I never said that. I was only joking when I said that. Oh, come on, you're too sensitive. Don't be a pussy. They tell you how to dress. They tell you what you can and can't wear. They tell you how to sit. They tell you what you should and shouldn't eat. You have to have loyalty to the group. Nobody else is as good as them. If you're with them, you're the best in the world. But the second you quit, now you're garbage. You were never worthy. You were always filth, and the whole group is going to come down on you. They usually don't fight their battles. They take their number ones and the number twos, unleash them, and go fight my battles for me. They're minions. It's a cult thing, right? Got to wear the shirt. Got to represent. Got to get the jacket. You got to buy this. You got to buy that. Every other month or year, there's a recertification that's going to cost you. Because they blew fucking all their money on alcohol or whatever their fucking personal addictions they're hiding from you back home, right? Their family life is a mess 99% of the time. If you look at the cult leader's family life, either A, they're all fucking hanging off his dick. He's got children who are mini thems, or none at all. Everybody fucking hates him. The kids don't talk to him anymore. They're divorced 2 or 3 times, or they bought themselves a fucking, a mail order bride from the Philippines or Thailand or something. So they're married to some fucking woman who's just going to keep her mouth shut so they can dog around and keep her on a fucking leash. And that's their wives, generally speaking. A very submissive person who will bark at everybody else to stand up for her the guy. But she'll with him, she's like a puppy. So these are, you're looking at that controlling behavior, coercive behavior, manipulation, isolation, right? All of this stuff comes into red flags.
Yeah. Yeah. Do you know one thing that one thing that you didn't mention is, I mean, yeah, you have in some ways, but one thing that I have experienced is, it's like in the kindergarten. You always have that kid that is being quiet with everyone because he's friend with the teacher and who's fucking observing what you're doing and going to fucking grass you up to the fucking teacher. And you try and be friendly with that person, but they're like, nah, they're staying well fucking away from they like they're better than you just because they're friend with the teacher. Do you know what I'm saying? Because they're close with the teacher. And these are the people that, I mean, in my experience, these are the people that are fucking things up for you, mate. Like, big time, big time. And then,
well,
and
that's an example, sure. Yeah.
Huh?
I said, yeah, sure. That's an example. Yeah, I know what you mean. Makes sense.
And then, do you know what? And then, if there is a story where, you're like, okay, you go home and change your attitude, come back with a fresh attitude, yeah. But you realize nobody else did that. You're the only person that fucking did that. And you're like, okay. But then, and then that same person that was giving you fucking, I can tell, Richard, I'm that sort of person. I'll know if there is something wrong. I will fucking sense it. I'm just that type of person. If anyone's got any fucking problem, if anyone's got a negative thought about me for a second, I look in their eyes and I will fucking see it. That's how accurate I am. I almost can fucking read people's mind. It's fucking scary, mate. And so you get people that are like for a long time, you try and be friendly with them, and they're like, nah, they got a problem with you. You don't even fucking know why. It's maybe out of jealousy, out of insecurity, out of fuck knows what it is.
Sure.
And then, at some point later, when you come back with a fresh attitude, then it's like, all right, yeah, they just had a conversation with we know who, and now their attitude changed. But they're fake as fuck. They look, feel fake as fuck, look fake, as fuck, sound fake as fuck. And it's like, that's why I had to. I mean, I have experienced that, and I had to say to myself, do you know what? Fuck this. I don't need these people in my life, mate. Do you know what I mean? I don't. Some great people out there. Don't get me wrong. I'm a good friend. If I become a friend with a person, I will fucking jump in front of a bullet for you, Rich. Do you know what I mean? I'm that type of person. But I don't. Also, I'm I'm an adult, you know, I'm a grown man. I won't take shit, mate. I won't take shit from no one. And I realize that I will not take shit. It doesn't matter from who. I will, that's it. I'm done. When I was a kid, when I was 15 years old, or when was that? They broke my collarbone. My mom had to call my father because in the neighborhood, I was getting bullied so much. They fucking pushed me down the stairs. They broke my collarbone. And I was walking with a sleeve for fucking month. And so my mother had to call my father, who's a big dude at the time, a big bald head dude that was in the police forces. That was also an instructor. And, and he made me walk outside, and he walked like some 30 meters behind, 30, 50 meters behind me. And he said to me, walk, as soon as you see them, point them. And I did. And and he went to fucking see them, and he scared the living shit out of them. And for the next year, I was actually pretty quiet, and the guys were like being nice to me all of a sudden because my father showed them his gun. Whatever he fucking did, he's fucking scared the shit out of them. And at that point, that's when my father said to me, "You got to fucking stand up for yourself." I can't remember. I was probably 11, 12, 13 years old. I knew how to fight. I've always known how to fight. I started martial arts when I was 4 years old, bro. And I've trained consistently since then. So I've always known how to fight. But it's like it was that fear, bro. That fear of consequences, fear of getting hurt. And believe it or not, I don't like hurting people. So fear of hurting other people as well. That's always been a big thing. Fear of consequences. But then one day I said to myself, that's it. I'm done taking shit. I will not take shit. And the problem, Richard, is I went from one extreme to the other. Unfortunately,
Generally, that's what we do.
I became
Even
a bit
society.
of a bully myself. You know, people were coming and search for problem, and they were proper fucking finding them at some point. I was just beating everyone up. Do you know what I mean? But I wasn't a predator. I wouldn't go to bully people, but people that were coming to get it with me, like I was repaying them 10, 100-folds. Do you know what I mean? It was bad. It was anger. It was all
partially predatorial.
Yeah, but
do you know why?
I'm going to answer your question, but before I want to finish, before I forget, this was on the physical level, okay? That I say I will never take shit again from anyone. But I didn't realize that for years and years and years after that, I was going to continue getting abused, but more on an emotional level, more on a mental level, because I'm that sort of person who trusts people. I trust people with my life. I speak about, and that made me think now, do you know, especially since last year, that made me think, do you know what? I will not speak so easily about my life anymore unless I really fucking trust people. Because I got hurt many times. I got hurt. I shared stuff, very personal stuff about my life, and I realize I shouldn't have. So
that's a neurodivergent thing, spilling your oversharing.
Yeah.
Part of ADHD, oversharing, and then we feel like shit after we do it.
It's a way of being friendly. You know, Richard, it's a way of being friendly. Oh, do you know, I'm going to come to you. I'm going to tell you about my life. That proves that I'm being
to
friendly.
relate to the person.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so and then after you look at
can't do that with everybody.
The group, and then you realize that those secrets or whatever you've been saying has been spilled, and now you can see it from the way that people's mentality have changed, or people's attitude around you have changed. So you clearly know that something has been said. Do you know what I mean? I know because I can sense that shit. I can sense that shit, and people can try and gaslight me and say, "Nah, I know what I can sense." That has never failed me. That sense has never failed me. I'm very, very good at reading. In fact, I read people better than they can read themselves. Very often, I understand people better than they understand themselves. Do you know what I mean?
Good for you.
And
you're ahead of the game.
So maybe I need to use that to help people, and that's really what I need to do. You know,
what you're doing.
Yeah, I am, man. I am.
You're on the right track, bro. Good.
After all the stuff that you've been saying today, like that you've been talking about, it kind of fucking rocks my world, because I'm like, shit, I still love that shit. I still love combatives. I think I will always.
It rocks everybody's world. It rocks everybody's world. It rocked my world. And the hardest part of it to accept is the fact that, oh fuck, what I've been doing and what I've been teaching isn't reflecting reality. And that is a slap in the face for a lot of fucking people. A lot of people. And a lot of people aren't willing to change because they're good at what they do. And they attract a certain amount of people who treat them a certain way because of they do what they do. And they're not ready to relinquish all that to start doing this because that doesn't reflect their image any longer. This isn't, you know, I'm supposed to be, and this is all, and then, no. And so, and I get it because change is the hardest thing a human being can do. It's the hardest thing.
I've changed
especially,
a lot,
especially if you've invested so much time and money and nurture and passion into something to one day find out, oh fuck, I've been doing it wrong most of my life. But that, guess what? That is called the scientific process. That's what science is. It's called research and development. It's called look for new evidence. It's called look for we got to keep up to date. This is an evolutionary thing. Violence is a human evolutionary thing, but it's a human thing. It's not, when it comes down to being gender based or culture based or religions, spiritual, whatever based, right? It's still, the core is still human. And that's what we got to focus on because we're human. And if you focus on the human aspect of self-defense, then you could teach the whole world. Why? Because we're all human.
Yeah.
So it works out. Now, but it takes away the glamour.
Yeah.
Truth is boring for some people. So all of a sudden, that whole alpha male archetype of being the hero and the tough guy, the protector, you know, the family doesn't like me until they need somebody to protect them, then they call me. All these fucking little bullshit alpha male sayings that's running around the net that people are posting to help validate something in their lives that other people apparently aren't because they feel the fucking need to tell you how dangerous they are all the time. So if you feel the need to front at that level how tough and dangerous you are, you're really not, are you?
Yeah. Do you know how I feel? Do you know how I feel about all this? Like, well, I have been asking myself recently, and I'm a great thinker, Richard. I think a lot, yeah, and I've been thinking recently, why do I do what I do? Why do I love that shit? And I have come up with some conclusions. You know, at first it was a mean for me to stop getting bullied, and my whole focus was on becoming the most badass motherfucker on the planet, to become unfuckwithable. Yeah, and that was really my first motivation. But then
it's
there was
most
also
males' first motivations.
yeah, but I also realized that there was another very big motivation. Because I was a kid diagnosed with ADHD on the mild spectrum of autism, and all this shit that's happening in my way of thinking, my way of being, is that I was running towards people and people were always rejecting me. And martial arts was the way for me to gain respect from people. And it has been for a very, very long time in my life. It has been a way for me to gain respect because I'm good at what I do. I'm not the best, far from it, but you know, I'm pretty good at what I do. So I still get that now. Do you know what I mean? And now I'm in a position where people are coming to me. I don't need to run towards people anymore. People send me message all the time. Julien, how is my punching? How is this? How is that? People being friendly to me. And do you know what I'm saying? It's something I've lacked as a kid, as an adolescent even. It's something that I've lacked. Even as a young adult, it's something that I've lacked. So can you imagine now? It's kind of things have reversed, and now I have to be really careful of what I say, how I behave, the language I use, because all of a sudden I'm a leader. I'm somebody that people look up to now, and so it's like I'm not gonna lie, it feels good to be in that position, considering that it's something that I've been lacking all my life.
It does, and that's the problem for a lot of people, where because of that they fear that if they change, they're going to lose that respect or the followers or certain people, and inadvertently you will, but you're going to attract a whole bunch of new people, more evolved people, people who went past that point. Now you're going to get these people as opposed to these people. See, I got tired of my clients at one point. No offense to people out there who were my clients in the past, but what I mean by that is all the way up until roughly 2017, 2015, 2017, when I started making that shift and understood, right? I attracted mainly angry white males between the ages of 18 and 40 who were already instructors in many other systems, who already basically they were people who just wanted to come and learn a few new more cool tricks to fuck somebody up in case level 10 happens. That was my client base. And when I started evolving past that, past my anger, past my trauma, well, not past my trauma, you always have your trauma, but when I started to understand it, it's manifest. When I started to understand myself better, I evolved past the I'm angry and I want to be John Rambo, or more recently, John Wick. Every era has a John. Pick it, right? So, but that it's true. Everybody wants to be Jason Bourne or John. Everybody, we fancy ourselves that. We want to be that guy, not like exactly like in the movie, but that's the archetype that the general combatives and self-defense and even martial arts world sells almost, right? They sell that image. So what does it attract? It attracts people like you and I, bullied as children, don't want to go through that anymore. I got to make myself a killing machine, ward everybody off. So I'm going to walk around with a scowl on my face and tough and get the tattoos and lift the weights and fucking, so that so the bully doesn't pick with me. At the end of the day, I just don't want to be picked on anymore. So by doing all that, it's going to make them stop picking on me. So now I've become what I was trying to defend against inadvertently. Because guess what? When you beat up all those guys in those bars and pubs, you didn't try to de-escalate. You just beat them up when they came to you and disrespected you. You weren't looking for it, but when it came to you, you didn't de-escalate. You participated in the escalation of the situation. So none of those things were self-defense. In reality, they're social violence situations. And all you did is you took your anger out on your bully, on all these people. That's all you did. You took all of your anger on all of these people over stupid things that if you had said, hey, man, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to spill your drink, or I didn't mean anything by looking at your girlfriend or taking your part. For whatever reason, you beat them up because it was social violence. You could have had them walk away. That hit me when I was in a bar and pub and I bought drinks and I was having a shitty day and I turned around with my full drinks, like shots, and some guy bumped me. Long story short, it spilled just a little bit of the drink on top of my hands. Nothing major, but I was having a shitty day. So my first response to the guy was, hey, fuckhead, watch where you're going. Normal circumstances, I never react that way, but I was having a shitty day and I respond spontaneously and impulsively based on my mood at the time. So I was a good person having a bad day. I took it out on this guy by saying, hey, guy, watch where the fuck you're going. Luckily speaking, he wasn't a guy like you or me in the past or a combatives trained guy. And he didn't fucking turn around and drop me where I stood. Instead, he apologized for bumping me. And the minute he did, I snapped out of my funk and I said, don't worry about it, bro. It's okay. It's fine. And I started to leave. Not just that, he taps me on the shoulder and he offers to pay for my drinks. And I say to him, no, man, it's cool. Thank you. And the minute he offered to pay for my drinks, I felt like the world's biggest cunt. I felt like garbage. Why? But if this guy was a combatives guy, angry, I'm looking for the next guy who disrespects me. I don't de-escalate. De-escalation is for pussies. And I beat this guy up. He would have beaten the shit out of me. With all of my skills, I would have never seen it coming. I wasn't expecting it. He would have fucking dropped me like a fucking toilet seat. Why? I'm at close range like an asshole. I told him to go fucking rolling 3 drinks. Right? He would have landed. So, and so what's the lesson here? I walked away, went, wow, how many people, how many men die in circumstances just like mine? 65% of males worldwide die in situations just like the one I described. So all these people you beat up, yeah, that was predatory. I did the same thing when I was younger, bro. I used to go to bars and pub to take out my anger. I'd sit there and wait for somebody to give me that fucking look or whatever.
I'm not gonna lie, it was fun. I mean, when I started to work the doors in Eastern Europe, in Lithuania, and we were basically knocking people out pretty much every weekend. And then I'm not gonna lie, I
I
mean,
get it.
now I'm looking back to, and I'm like, do you know what? I I do feel bad now thinking about the past of stuff
If you
that
have
made me feel.
empathy, if you
Mm,
have empathy and you understand de-escalation and good people having bad days and what a
mm,
predator actually is and how they function, if you really understand that stuff, then
mm,
yeah, you're gonna feel like shit for shit you did in the past. Especially if you really fucking hurt somebody bad. Hey, I had a guy at a master class from England. He knows 3 people. He's in his 30s. He knows 3 people who died being punched in the face only once. Learned to hit fucking
mm,
hard. Got punched in the
yeah.
face. Guy fell, banged his head, and died. 2 of them were friends of his. He lost 2 friends to social
Fuck.
violence, and one of
Yeah.
them was a friend of his who did it to somebody else who ended up in jail for 7 years.
I
One
have a
punch.
story like that as
He,
well. Yeah.
yeah, this guy had 3 of them. There's a guy in every masterclass who has a story like that. This
Mm,
situation happens so often that there are documentaries being made about knocking people out in street fights.
it,
Combatives is
mm,
predicated on
yeah.
exactly that. So
Mm,
tell me,
mm.
how much ethics and morals and legality, like what the fuck is that? That's murder. That's
It's not.
non-ethical, no morals, fear-based, anger-based, self-defense, personal protection, my ass. It's fucking combatives. There's nothing self-defense or personal protection about it.
Yeah.
Zero.
There's one thing I'm asking myself now from what you're saying. So, fear based. So, okay, look at something. Look at the basics of preemption. Okay, when we speak about preemption, and it's true that it's like the police in America. Their hands are already on their fucking gun, bro. You do anything dodgy, they will fucking shoot you. That's why I'm scared to go to the US, to be honest with you, because I'm that sort of person. First of all, I mean, I used to have a lot of respect for the police. That has diminished greatly in the recent years, and I believe in freedom and equality, something that's been largely taken away from us now. But let's not go into that. But what I'm trying to say is that, okay, you have somebody in front of you that's being aggressive. You try to remove yourself from the situation, and it doesn't work. And now in your head, you're asking yourself, "Fuck, is he gonna hit me or what?" Or do you know what I mean? So you have that fear factor in your head. So at this point, when this happens, Richard, are you in your legal, moral, and ethical right to do something if
There's
you feel threatened?
you don't need to like all you don't even need to go down the speculation road. There's a way to find out who you're dealing with almost fucking instantly. And that's by asking a very simple question. Does this person have empathy or not? Let's find out. How? Guy gets in
Yeah.
your face, right? He says some words, right? You turn
Mm.
around, you go, "Hey man, sorry, brother,
What can I do
how can
for
I
you?
help
Yeah.
you?
Yeah.
Yeah, how can I help you? What have I done to piss you off? How can I help you?" Now, a good person having a bad day, no
Mm,
matter
mm,
what, is going to stop dead in their tracks. They're not going to keep walking towards you. They're going to stop dead in their tracks and tell you exactly how you can help them. Why? Well, they're a good person having a bad day. They have an
mm,
issue
mm.
they want resolved. They believe
Yeah.
you're the cause of that issue and you just offered to resolve it. So they're going to tell you exactly what you did. Well, man, you just took my fucking parking spot. No problem. Let me move my car. Yeah, move your
Mm,
car. Done deal. You just spilt my drink. I'm so sorry. Let me buy you a new one. No, man, it's okay. You don't have to. Cool, cool. Okay, good. You just did this. Not a problem. A good person having a bad day did not choose you as a victim. They really believe you did something to piss them off. And they have a
yeah.
lot of misdirected anger. And right now, they're dumping it on you. If you can quell your ego, just say, "How can I help you?" The good person having a bad day will tell you exactly how you can help them. The
Yeah.
predator, the predator won't. Why? Because he doesn't have an issue he wants resolved. He
Mm.
specifically
An
chose you
agenda.
as a
Mm.
victim. So your question, "How can I help you?" is going to be met with either deflection, insult, provocation, and intimidation, or all four. So if I'm a bad person having a bad day and you say, "How can I help you?" I'm going to say, "Well, fuck, man, you did this, this, and this. What are you going to do?" "Well, I'm sorry, but okay. I don't want
Mm.
to fight." Most people don't want to fight. The reality is people don't want to get into physical confrontations in the street. Nobody wants that. So
Mm.
bad guy does. So when you say, how can I help you, to the bad guy, you're going to get a response like, what makes you think I need help? Or you're beyond help now, you piece of shit. You know exactly what. And he's going to keep goading and provoking and pushing and intimidating. Now you know. There is no more, what do I do? He pushed me 3 times. If he pushes me a 4th, that's all fucking stupid shit. That's not how you gauge violence. That's amateur bullshit. That's fucking, I read a D&D book when I was sick. Or fucking Tom Clancy. This is movie shit. The real world is this a good person or not? If I hit this person, do I deserve it? Am I within my rights? Am I going to feel guilty? Well, I've established they're not. Why? What more can you say to somebody who, when you said, hey, man, how can I help you? They say to you, you're beyond help now, you piece of shit. It's over. That's when you fucking hit. Done deal. Morally, legally, ethically. There's nothing else I can say that's going to make this guy go, oh, I'm sorry, you're right. I'm walking away. Nothing. And even then, in certain antisocial violence situations, we teach this in our masterclass, you can still de-escalate through manipulation and get the fuck out of the situation before they figure out what hit them non-physically. There's many ways of doing that, but you have to be an adept. That can't be taught in 5 hours. That has to be taught in fucking, that's why I have a masterclass. We do that in like 32 hours. There you can run people through proper de-escalation drills and see how emotionally they react to the certain things that are being said. See, when we do scenarios, we don't do scenarios to fight at the end like 99% of the self-defense world. We actually go through, you're going to try to figure out who you're dealing with. And if I'm the person coming at you, in my head, I decided whether I'm a good person having a bad day or a bad guy, but I don't tell you. You need to fucking figure that shit out. And if you end up hitting me in a situation where I could have been de-escalated, we're going to break it down and analyze and figure out why and how. And you're going to know exactly why you shouldn't have hit at that moment and what you could have said to make me go away. Because I already decided that if you de-escalate, I'm walking. And if you don't, even a good person having a bad day is going to go physical. Why? They're already ego invested. If I'm invested in life and you're invested in yours, it's our egos clashing. It's not people clashing anymore. It's egos.
Yeah.
So I want to avoid that. I step out of my ego, especially if I don't fucking know the person. If you're dealing with a stranger, it's never personal. Why? I fucking know you. How can it be personal? I don't fucking know you from a hole in the wall. It can't be personal. So no matter what you're saying to me, if you're overreacting and you're angry over a parking spot or a spilt drink to the point where you're cussing, my brain's got to go, something's off with this person. That's not normal baseline reaction for being upset. People don't react like that unless there's something, an underlying issue. So I look at that person and I go, there's a lot of shit they need to unpack. Right now, they think they're going to use me as the fucking punching bag. I'm not going to let that happen. I'm going to meet them with kindness. Always be nice. Hey, man, sorry for whatever's brother. Brother, what can I do to help you, man? You're going to watch that person go from this to this almost fucking instantly. That's another green flag. If I'm fucking coming in, blah, 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 hey, man, how can I help you? Well, fucking blah, blah. All of a sudden, you see the shift weight, the shoulders drop, right? But they still have the scalp because the energy came on strong, so they need some time to deflate still. They can't go from 0 to 100 to 0, but so you give them that time to de-escalate, to deflate, and you're going to see it in their body language. They're going to shift, their weight's going to shift, they're going to start talking, the tone is going to shift a bit, they're going to calm down. Why? You just offered to help them. The bad guy's going to do none of that. They're going to keep coming at you. So there is no, when do I hit them? I hit them when I figured out that they are not a good person having a bad day. That's when preemption happens. When do you preemptively strike in a self-defense situation? When you know for a fact you are no longer dealing with a person who has empathy. You're dealing with a person who selected you as a victim. This person has no issue they won't resolve. This person does. How do I figure that out? I can't provoke them because even a good person having a bad day is provocable. How? Well, if you challenge them, if you threaten them, if you tell them what to do, if you tell them, don't tell them what to do, don't challenge them, threaten. If you tell them they're wrong, right? Hey, man, you look at it, you just dented my car. That happened to me in a mall. I'm coming back to my car. There's nobody parked next to me when I left. I'm coming back to my car. There's a guy standing there. I can hear him cussing, but he's cussing at his car, looking at his car. But he's right next to my car. We're parked right next to each other. So I parked. There was nobody there. But when I came back to the mall, there was somebody there, and he's pissed because somebody hit his car. Now he thinks I fucking did it. So he gets into my face very aggressive. Fuck, man, you just hit my car. Now I know I didn't fucking hit his car. But I don't tell him that. Tell him, no, I didn't. Yeah, you did. Fucking right here. Dude, there was nobody here when I parked. I didn't hit your car. Fuck off. I start going, we're going to get into a fight, man. At the very least, we're going to end up pissed at each other, walk away. He's going to go home, take it out on his kid. I might take it out on my wife. Why? Why? Do we need that in the world? Why don't I just fucking do Fucking okay, show me the dent, bro. I'm so sorry. Let me see. He shows me the fucking dent. I go, wow, okay, let me look at the dent. There's a little fucking red paint on his blue car. I'm driving a black car. So I look at him, I go, dude, yeah, your car was fucking certainly hit. I don't think it's me though, because if you notice it, there's a scratch of red paint. Not just that, but look, I unlock my door. I open my door. My door goes to the dent, but it misses it by about 1.5 inches. So it said, my door didn't even come close to your door, as you can see, and there's red paint. Now he's looking at me completely dumbfounded, still angry that there's a hit, but then he's like, he realizes it wasn't me. So he's like, oh, well, oh, fuck, well, okay, sorry, man. Well, fucking, I have to call the insurance. I go, I'm really sorry about that, man. I hope your day goes better. Well, thank you. No problem. I got into my car and I left. What's wrong with that? Am I a pussy for fucking doing that? Should I have fucking stomped him because he was disrespectful at first? 15 hammer fists and a couple of knees to the head and maybe smash his head on the bumper? Why? Why? Because he told me to fuck off at first because I hit his car? Why don't I find out? What if I'm gonna do all that to him? Why not make sure he fucking deserves it? Why just unleash?
Yeah.
That makes me no good, no better than him. We always tell people in self-defense, don't become what you're trying to defend against.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, there's no in social violence gone awry. 65% of male who succumb to manslaughter succumb to social violence. There's no good. There's no predator here. It's two fucking assholes getting into a fight at the end of the day. Both participated in the escalation of the situation willingly or unwillingly. Both being very sad and unnecessary. So at the end of the day, what are we doing? What are we teaching? Right? So self-defense is about not being there when the thing happens. That's the best form of defense. And if you find yourself in a situation, the end result, your goal is not to hurt the other person or punish them or knock them out. Your goal is to go back home, to go back to your life the way you knew it before this situation happened. Because what happens after you beat them up in 2023 with CCTV fucking cameras everywhere and cell phones everywhere? What happens after that? What happens if you learn to hit fucking hard and you drop the guy and he banged his head on the fucking corner of whatever because you're not on a mat in a gym, right? And he dies. Now what happens now? And then you find out he's a good person having a bad day, a father of 2. He has a 2-year-old and a newborn at home, stressed out of his mind because he lost his fucking job and can't feed his family. And now you bumped him by mistake coming out of the store and he fucking got irate and shoved you and said, what the fuck, man? Are you gonna fucking hammer fist the guy and stomp him? Yeah. And then what? Then you find all that shit and you have empathy. You're sitting in fucking jail for 6 years for killing a father of 2. And then you have to pay his fucking family because there's going to be a civil lawsuit after that that's coming your way. It's not just a legal one, right? Once you're done with your criminal lawsuit and you're coming out, you've got $1.2 million to pay. You can't afford that. So the law, legal fee fucking go, okay, well, based on your salary and your lifestyle, you're going to pay these people X amount of dollars per month every month until you fucking die. Okay, now every month you're going to be reminded of fucking that death every month for the rest of your life. One punch. It's asinine. Any self-defense system that teaches or claims to teach self-defense or tags personal protection and teaches anything physical within 5 to 10 hours is a scam. It's a money-making fucking scam. Quote me on it. I don't give a fuck. You're scamming. It's bullshit. You're lying to the people. And if they did make whatever you taught them work, they would have made something work anyway, whether you taught them or not. Why? Because they had that mindset to fucking begin with. It had nothing to do with you. Sorry, that's fucking reality. So on that note, I have to go. I got my kid to take care of.
No probs, bro.
We've been over 2 hours, but we can finish it off in a couple of minutes, like really quick here or whatever. My last little bit just probably pissed off a whole bunch of people. Good.
No probs, bro. No probs. So I'll tell you what. Let's finish it with 3 basic questions that I ask everyone at the end of the interview. Okay. If you could go back in the past and do something differently, what would it be?
Nothing.
Okay, because whatever
I couldn't take the risk of the butterfly effect and take the repercussions of those actions. I am the way I am. Things are the way they are.
Yep.
It is what it is.
Okay.
I'm good with that. Even even if it meant saving my brother's life from drowning when he was 4, had you asked me that 5-10 years ago, I said I would go back and save my brother from drowning. I have no idea what that would do to anything or anyone, and so I couldn't take that risk.
Okay. Yeah.
But
I
if I
appreciate
could and I
that.
did, it would be save my brother, obviously.
Okay. What advice would you give to the younger generations?
Be kind to your future self. Somewhere down the road, there's a 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, potentially year-old version of you. Be kind to that fucking person. See, I'm 54. If I can go back to when I was 18, 20 and go, what are you doing? What are you doing to me? Yeah, just remember you in 5, 10, 15 years. That guy, that woman, that person, that individual, they're out there waiting to be. And they are highly dependent on your present day actions. Yeah,
Yeah.
be kind to your future selves.
Nice. Nice one, Richard. Well, thank you very much for your time, bro. It was
That was 2
amazing.
questions. You owe me a third.
A third.
I
Okay.
want my.
Yeah.
You said I got 3 questions we asked people, or
The
was it
third,
only
the
2?
third, yeah, the third one. I don't know if it's a question that you're gonna be able to
Answer.
answer because based on your beliefs and stuff, man. But okay,
Let's see.
if you had the power to change anything in the world, anything at all, even if you had superpowers, man, what would you do? What would you do with it?
Anything at all?
Anything at all?
I'd make sure that every human being had fucking full blown 100% empathy. Every single human being. And if that
Mm.
happened, no more violence, no more war.
I believe that there was once upon a time that's not been recorded in human history. I believe that there was a time like that. There was.
Yeah,
Then,
before
then fear.
humanity ever came, when the
Yeah,
fucking world was run by animals and plants. And even then, fucking animals eat other animals, and fucking
that's even
monkeys
before.
murdered dogs in a village.
Mm,
They fucking grabbed a bunch of dogs, went up to the top of a building and threw them. Look, what are you gonna
that's
do?
bad.
These fucking psychopath monkeys.
Yeah.
I'm kidding halfway, but yeah.
No, I get that, man.
Worldwide
No,
empathy.
yeah, empathy is great. It's great. Good answer. Well, that's it now. That's it. You got your 3 questions, bro.
Yay. Like everybody else now. Thank you, man. I really appreciate your time with all this.
Well, thank you for your time,
Yeah.
man. It's always a pleasure to listen to you, man. I've learned some more stuff today, which is great, and we'll definitely
Cool.
I'll be around, mate. I'll be around. We'll chat. We'll chat again.
Anytime. All right, my man.
Right. So for just one thing, Richard, if you got anything that you want to plug it on there, upcoming classes, seminars, website, please feel free to use this platform, man.
Oh yeah. We're pretty much booked solid everywhere. All the way up until next. RPS Violence Prevention is our website for our master classes. rpsviolenceprevention.com. Then you have yourselfdefenseexperts.com, which is just regular workshops, seminars, 5-10 hour things. All of our products are there, old and new, in terms of webinars and old instructional, if you're interested in that. And then there's studyofviolence.com, which is a free resource. There are 5 full free online courses, nuts and bolts. There's video and text there. So check those out. In terms of booking us, a lot of people ask us, when are you coming here? When are you coming there? When we get hosted, we don't just fucking fly out on a whim to Australia, for example, from Canada, 29 hours and go, hey, we're here for masterclass, who wants to join? And take that risk spending $7,000 on flights. So we need somebody to host, meaning that somebody has to have a location for us to do it in, and help us market it in their hometown or wherever it's being done, and we'll help with the international stuff. So we need somebody to do that. We can't just fly out to where you are and do a masterclass. So that said, yeah, thank you. Hope everybody enjoyed this. If not, fuck you. What do you want?
Fucking awesome, bro. Well, tell you what,
Right.
guys, ladies and gentlemen, whatever, if you want to see this podcast again or you want to share it widely, share the love, it is broadcasted on my YouTube page, Adrenaline Combatives, in the live sections, and also on Facebook. So share it widely, share the love, and see you next time.